All right. It took a little longer than expected, but I figured why not just knock out all the shit that I need to do today. And come back and keep exploring on that Borderlands while I'm still in between jobs and have the time to do so. Because I rarely get this. I'm usually the one at work, and all my friends are plowing through a game, and then I start a game as they're playing it, and they're pretty much finishing up as I'm like getting into it. That's usually how it works. So this is probably like the one and only time that I'm actually ahead of my friends in this game. So I'm savoring it. Mm. Enjoying the time off while I have it. It's not like I'm not trying. I've sent out resumes. It's a little harder to find a job now than it was a couple of years ago. I was able to find a job so quick back in the day. We literally just like send out a resume. I didn't even do cover letters back then. Just a resume, just on Indeed. I would get a call back within a week. I'd have an interview probably within a week or two, and then I would have a job within like that 2 to 3 week range, if not 2 weeks. Just like a week out. Sometimes I would get interviews same week, and then it would be like, yeah, all right, we'll start you this weekend or the next week. It's usually how it worked. Almost every single time, I would pretty much always get the job. It was always fast track. And now it's like, man, I'm like on Indeed, just even getting them to open the applications, getting them to open it and look at it is like that's not a thing anymore. I don't know. It's like pulling teeth. I don't know. So it's kind of weird. I don't know. Things are changing. It's not just me. It's everybody else. Everybody else is feeling it too. I think it's just our society, our country's. It's just changing. People are going back to work. You're not getting as many government handouts. And also never did find out a way to turn this off. There might be a way on my controller actually. Yeah, because it's just pulsing right now, and it's like, why is it even doing that? Is it the gun I'm holding? Anyway, enough of my unemployment rant. I mean, I could go back and work for a while if I really wanted to, but I kept telling them it's like I can't be doing, 50 hours a week if I want to focus on media production at the same time. So, offered them part-time, kept pushing it. I mean, they used to do temps at that place, so it's like I don't understand why part-time is such a struggle for them. But yeah, they just won't budge. So, just got to find something else. I do love that company in some ways. It's a lot different. They're very corporate now. I don't really recognize the company anymore. So, back when it was like a family feel, that was a great company to work for. And it still is a great company to work for. It's just, yeah, I feel a little bit out of place compared to what it used to feel like.
Right? I mean, some.
Oh, we're at the very end of this. All right, on to the next thing. Taylor Kitsch. Don't think I know him. Horace. What's this about? Okay,
From
I
Truth
gotta hear
Social,
this.
Donald Trump has deemed Antifa a terrorist organization. He has truth. I am pleased to inform our many USA patriots that I am designating Antifa a sick, dangerous, radical left disaster as a major terrorist organization. I will also be strongly recommending that those funding Antifa be thoroughly investigated in accordance with the highest legal standards and practices. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Let's go.
Let's go.
That's what they
Yeah,
were talking about last
this
night.
is
Okay,
exactly what needed to happen.
good.
Dude, we have
I've been
so many
saying that since
options now that
2016.
are letting
Antifa was like,
declared a terrorist
what are they
organization. This
doing?
opens
They're just
up a war
destroying
chest of
shit.
options to
No, they're
go
fighting.
through
They're
it.
fighting fascism. No, they're just destroying shit, and they're LARPing, and they say they're fighting evil while they're down there like pretending,
and he says,
playing make
Antifa,
believe.
Antifa, and then Biden goes, Antifa's an idea. The real threat's white supremacy.
Oh, this is
Supremacy's
what I
an
listened to
idea
last
too,
night.
you
Okay.
moron. Antifa is an international
Next.
association. They fly a banner.
They have
It is-
chapters.
Right. They have cells.
They have they have chapters.
You
They have
can't say
merch.
you're not a group and have merch. Those are mutually exclusive
Like
ideas.
bumper stickers.
Yeah.
So let's try and get let's
President Trump announced last night that he would be designating Antifa as a terrorist organization.
Now, Antifa is a far-left activist movement that proclaims to be anti-fascist, and some of its members have partaken in violence. The movement is said to be highly decentralized.
Some of its
President Trump
members,
wrote on Truth Social, quote,
like,
I am pleased to
I
inform
feel
our
like
many
that's just
USA
kind of the
patriots that I'm
thing if you join
designating
Antifa
a
now.
sick, dangerous, radical left disaster as a major terrorist organization. I will also be strongly recommending that those funding
Wait,
Antifa
hold on, this
be
is
thoroughly
really
investigated
choppy.
in accordance with the highest legal standards and practices. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
Now, President Trump hinted Sunday that he would be investigating
All right, it's
left-wing
getting a
groups
little
after
better, I
Charlie
think.
Kirk's assassination. Let's listen.
And when you look at the agitators
Take a look. Take a look at this. Take a look at that.
that speak so badly of our country, the American flag burnings all over the place, that's the left, that's not the right.
We plan on investigating.
We'll see. We'll be announcing. They're already under investigation. You know, they're already under major investigation. A lot of the people
A lot of
who
them.
would traditionally say are on the left,
They're
already under investigation.
Many conservatives praised Trump for the move on X. Senator Mike Lee, for instance, wrote, Antifa is like a group of arsonists masquerading as firefighters. Thank you, President Trump, for designating Antifa as a major terrorist organization.
That's a good way to
And
put it.
Billboard Chris weighed in, writing,
That's
"All
a
the
good way to
credit in the
put it.
world belongs
Arsonists
to Mr.
disguised
Andino,
as
who's consistently
firefighters.
exposed Antifa and educated the world
Because yeah, they're doing
about
everything that they
terrorists
say that they're
and
fighting
has had
against.
to move
That's what
from
I've
his
been saying.
home.
I was just like,
Also
dude,
suffered
you guys are
injuries after
not a
attacked
good
by them,
group,
but
are
he's
you?
never backed down.
Meanwhile, some on the left have sounded the alarm. Streamer Hassan Piker wrote, they're openly admitting they're fascist, by the way. And author and former U.S. Navy Senior Chief Petty Officer Malcolm Nance wrote,
I don't like some of the
"Terrorism
directions the
ethically
right
here
is going
cannot
now. It's
designate
just
an
like,
idea as a terrorist group. There's no organization.
it is
called
jumping
Antifa.
straight to the
There is
immediate
no
like
leadership or funding path. There is no membership.
just
Also,
censorship.
there's no law in America to charge
bringing down the
terrorism.
hammer on
Absolutely.
everything. It's like, oh, hold
What he's
on.
doing is
Don't give
setting
the
stage to
don't give the
designate
government
any
too much
American
authority.
as a terrorist. That's
You need to be
fascism.
careful with this. Be
Release the
diligent.
Epstein files.
And
The
also,
hashtag
yeah,
is
the
Antifa.
censoring. It's like, would
Ridiculous.
Charlie
There
want
are
that?
certainly laws against
Need to ask that
terrorism.
question
Well,
each
I
time
think-
we're like
and-
trying to
and what-
implement some of these things out of emotion.
They dropped the state terrorism charge. They're also,
Right.
but there is such a thing as a terrorism charge and there are federal charges. So I don't know what he's talking about there.
Fine, I don't know what he's talking about there, but I do know
And
that in the
Hassan
last
Piker,
few weeks,
the other guy, has called for his political enemies to be killed. So.
Okay,
go
well,
ahead.
I'm just going to speak for Lindsay.
Yes, you
yeah,
speak
so
for
I,
Lindsay.
I think that what he's referring to, or what everyone
I
might
see
be referring
you.
to, who has some outrage about this, is the fact that in recent weeks, President Trump has used the guise or the word of terrorism in order to do things that would usually require some congressional approval to make sense, that he's using, like, say, an executive order privilege to do, like the Venezuela ships that were bombed twice, because instead of being counter-narcotics missions, he called them counter-terrorism missions, and that allows different privileges to the president, which they didn't need to be. These people could have been arrested. And so when you're talking about Antifa, Trump's previous FBI director, Christopher Wray, actually said Antifa is an ideology. You cannot prosecute an organization if it's not an organization. That's an ideology. So where do you go? Like, you know, when you're actually looking at Hamas or an organization, there's a structural hierarchy that you can actually prosecute. Who are you prosecuting in Antifa? The bad actors have been arrested, should always be arrested. But, like, there's no organization that's getting funding that needs to get structure. So it's, you know, that needs to get prosecuted. So it's kind of just like this idea that you're throwing
I need to
out there
figure
that
this
to
out,
me the ultimate
because it's
goal
just
there then is
constantly
just
buzzing my
division
controller.
and divisiveness. because it's a dialogue, again, to continue to repeat what we're hearing, that everyone on the left is a murderer.
I agree with you in part and disagree in another part. So it is broadly correct that Antifa is not particularly an organization, or primarily an organization. It has no hierarchy. There's no leader of Antifa. It's not it doesn't have meetings. It's not an organization in the same way Hamas or something is an organization. It's not even the same.
Al-Qaeda.
It's not even an organization in the same way that whatever other lefty groups you can point to. It doesn't have funding. That said, so I describe Antifa as a set of tactics, including the black bloc. So they go to protests. They're all wearing black. They have face masks. Someone
I just
commits
want to turn off the
violence,
rumble.
and
I wish I
then
could
you
do
can't
that.
tell
I
who
don't
it is,
know.
because there's a lot of people who look alike and
second.
they blend back into the crowd and they disperse quickly.
Maybe there's a way to do
They
it
are
on the outside.
distinguished. Their tactics distinguish them from other left-wing people in that they believe affirmatively in the use of violence to achieve their ends, violence and property destruction. They don't want coverage by journalists. They have attacked journalists. They've attacked Andy Ngo, that person who's done so much to report on their activities. There are certainly people associated with Antifa, so you certainly could take greater steps as law enforcement to say who are the Antifa involved.
And President Trump seems to allude to that.
Steam's
He said,
controller
yes,
settings?
I am looking at people already.
Everyone
right?
should be prosecuted.
There's a few
for
different
it.
ways. Yeah,
These people
it says
throw-
Steam is one way
they
you
throw
can go about it.
milkshakes in
I'll try
people's
that
faces,
because the
they
first way I already
punch
tried.
Everyone they think are Nazis, and my major criticism of them is, I think it's wrong to practice violence against your political opponents, and they also take a broad view over who counts as a Nazi, like not actually just Nazis, but everyone who disagrees with them. I've seen them. I've seen them in the streets of D.C. In response to the George Floyd stuff. I've seen them smashing windows.
I know, but we're talking about criminals. We're talking about.
I found it.
President Trump is trying to pin it on the left and saying that
Beautiful.
Democrats need to be, okay,
Thank
but
you.
on the right,
Thank you,
when you
AI.
talk about
Honestly,
ideology,
AI
you
is
say, okay, there are people
very nice for that.
committing
You
bad
Google
acts,
something
you
now,
know,
and
like
AI
killing
is like,
Ruth
oh yeah,
online
talking about this
with a
specific
group of
thing.
people
Just
that would be considered far right, that were racist.
We got
saying
you.
that the Great Replacement Theory is the reason why he wanted to.
Done. Not a fan of
People
AI,
that
but
were
man,
of color.
there are times it is
theory are
helpful
not
because that is just
violence.
burning my
They're
battery.
violent.
I was like,
Violence. That's what I'm saying. So then President Trump.
Is there anyone on earth saying don't
it's still
prosecute
going.
No, but
Why?
President Trump, so then President Trump should also say, let's look at terrorist
Did I not
organizations
save
that
it?
promote this type of violence, right? Because we're looking at the structure of Antifa saying
Antifa is not promoting this kind of violence. They are
I
engaging
wonder
in
if
this kind
it's
of violence.
fine, but
Didn't
that's not
save.
the only incident where people have been in conversation with people.
They're all
that
arguing.
have
I'm all, like,
ignited
trying to figure out
flame
my
of somebody
controller.
who's doing an act on the right because they feel like they're being replaced or something like that. We've had
It's
this
off.
dialogue.
I'm saying Antifa is actually doing the violence, and that's what we're going to
Right, so
prosecute.
but both ends should be prosecuted. That's why he's trying to find a moment of
For
grief
anyone
for Charlie
engaging.
Kirk and saying, let's only look at the left. And that's the biggest problem for me, kind of like what I talked about in my lens. Like, there are reasons to look about why anybody who's igniting the flames to violence like this should be looked into
Again,
on this
not
long list that he
igniting
has.
the flames, actually doing it. I
Committing-
would agree with you.
We just
on
had
the,
Minnesota lawmakers killed. So yes, the same thing. Anybody who they were in conversation with in an organization similar to Antifa on the right
saying,
should be looked
but
into.
Antifa is not a group inspiring other people to commit violence through their rhetoric. Antifa, by the definition of what Antifa is the people engaging in the violence.
Right, but then
They should
who
all be
congregates to say
prosecuted.
they're all in one group and not just random criminals? Like, that's what I'm saying. There has to be some type of organization. They're deciding how they're going to
distinguished
behave.
from random criminals in the way that they dress and the political ideology that they have.
So if a random person puts on a mask, now they're definitely Antifa. That's what I'm saying. That just doesn't.
Well, I mean, kind of, because Antifa is not an organization. It's a method of
Which is
carrying
why
out
you can't call it a
social
terrorism group and pin it on the left and say I'm going to go through.
I don't really want to call anything a terrorist group because terrorist group is sort of a nebulous definition, and
I'm not sure.
I don't understand what the government is.
I turned it off.
I mean, I was reading. We were arguing about this yesterday or the day before. The statute under which Mangione was charged, and the judge says, no, this doesn't meet the definition of terrorism according to the statute.
He didn't
think it
cause
absolutely
American
meets the definition of
instability.
terrorism caused in accordance with the statute. Well, yes, he's causing instability. He's threatening the other CEOs of healthcare companies. He's saying the people
No,
who
I'm saying
support
the
these
judge
policies
said that
should
he
fear
didn't
for their
cause.
lives.
Yeah, he didn't cause. Like,
Yeah, the judge is full of something.
because you think the judge maybe also has.
No,
some
I know. I
Are
think
you
the
going
judge
down that
is-
rabbit hole?
I
I'm not
maybe
sure.
The judge is a little Luigi Mangione fangirl too. I think is the.
Because yeah, I tried both, so I don't
Well, it
know.
started
I'm just
with
gonna
a search for answers.
burn through batteries. I tried.
A shouting match here's some heated exchanges in
Oh,
this week's
now that we're done with that
Capitolian.
segment.
Stay with us.
I'm done with the controller, guys. Let's go ahead and listen to the segment that we were listening. Just looking for something to listen to.
Joining us now is Janine Eunice. You probably remember her name from the COVID era. She was one of the loudest voices pushing back against lockdowns and mandates, and she even ended up taking the Biden administration all the way to the Supreme Court in a big free speech case. Well, now she's in the headlines again, this time for taking on the Trump administration. Janine says the real free speech crisis right now is the crackdown on anti-Israel criticism. I think we all know this.
Yeah,
people
that's
are
fair.
losing their jobs, they're getting kicked out of schools, or even being deported. She just took a new role as the national legal director at the American Arab Anti-Discrimination Committee, and she's preparing a new round of lawsuits to fight back. Janine's been canceled by the left for COVID views, canceled by the right for
What is?
Palestinian views.
Yeah, it's just
Through it
Israel.
all, she has stayed focused on defending
So
the
sick
First
about it.
Amendment,
I'm
the
so
true
sick of
fighter.
hearing it
Janine,
about
welcome to the
Israel.
show. Thank
It's
you so
like
much
it's
for being
just
here.
so over it. It's
Thank you for
halfway
having me
across the
back.
world.
So, yeah, you're making enemies left and right.
I
But
don't
guess
care
that's
anymore.
The way it goes when you're defending the First Amendment.
It's like I care
think
about
it's
what's happening. Don't get me
unfortunate.
wrong.
I mean,
I just
are you as shocked as I am?
we need to stop
Coming
helping
from the
them.
COVID battles, right? We were there trying to battle it out, battling for free speech. You were on the front lines of that. Have you
Am I
been
close to
shocked?
this
I've been
door?
shocked that a
Oh,
lot
I
of
am.
People on the right who were defending free speech suddenly are all about canceling everybody.
How do
They're
I?
about no more free speech.
Yeah, I've been shocked.
How do I get
mean, it's
into
been a
the
little while
door?
now, so now I've adjusted to it. But the brazenness of it, like they're just making the exact same arguments that they used to make fun of the left for and resist the left for. Both in terms of sort of advocating for formal censorship mechanisms and then sort of a cancel culture around Israel-Palestine. Those are, of course, a little bit different. But yeah, I'm surprised at the level of hypocrisy. They don't even try to come up with like justifications that sound a little smoother or something.
Yeah.
It's really stunning.
So you say the Trump administration is worse.
I found about a door.
Washington Post said.
You know, I don't remember. If
Do I
said
have
it to the
enough?
reporter.
How many do you need?
I don't love to say like better or worse. What Biden did was
3?
very bad in its own right. And for people who don't know, his administration
Oh, boy.
pressured, threatened, coerced social media companies into censoring speech about COVID that differed from the administration's.
Give 'em
views,
still,
not only
lads.
about COVID vaccines, but also
Give 'em
masks,
still.
lockdowns, and that kind of thing. So that was really bad, and part of the
Let's
reason
do
they
it.
got away with it is because they did it so
Vault of
quickly. They did it
Radix.
behind closed doors, and that made it really hard
So
to
different
prove
vaults. Is this a
exactly what they did.
boss? Is
We
this a
actually
raid?
Sort of lost the case.
I guess
The
we're gonna
headline
find
said we
out.
lost the case. We lost the case. It's a little bit more complicated than that. The Supreme Court said that we hadn't shown that our clients had standing for purposes of emergency relief, meaning that they couldn't show that their specific posts were censored because of the government's actions. So the court said, yeah,
I didn't
the
mean to
government
like
did
fly
these
through that.
things and maybe it was kind of bad, but your clients can't show that they were harmed specifically.
Oh.
Social media companies had these moderation policies in place before, and you have to be able to create a direct
About to
link
fight a
between your
spider?
client's censorship and the
Big old spider. What do we got?
I think that was the wrong ruling, but nevertheless, it's kind of interesting that part of what allowed the administration to get away with it was that it was kind of secret. There wasn't a lot of external evidence, although we got some through discovery. Whereas here, what Trump is doing is much more brazen, and not Trump and Rubio and a lot of people, also people on the right who don't have political power but are, advocating for this. What they're doing is much more brazen. They're sort of openly saying, we're gonna punish you for
I got like a
speech, we're gonna
hankering to
throw you
play some
behind bars,
fucking
we're going to deport
Valheim. I don't know
you,
where that came
we're
from.
gonna get you kicked out of school. On the other hand, that makes it actually easier to challenge in court. And so far,
Why am
that's
I out of
kind
ammo?
what's happened. The lawsuits against the Trump administration have tended to be successful in part because it's so advertised.
Why have I been running out of ammo?
It's sort of like apples and oranges.
This
I mean,
doesn't
there
happen.
There was an attempt. I mean, they've rescinded it, but the attempt was by Brian Mast, who shows up to Congress wearing an IDF uniform, right? I mean, this guy, and he thinks he's got the. I mean, then he proposed a law to basically strip Americans of.
Better not have fixed my glitch, and it was working
So
this morning.
actually what
So
it was it threatened to take people's passports. So kind of make
I'm a little
it seem
scared to
criminal,
like
and I suspect
just
what
be
they did
flying
was
through shit now.
You are on a trip and you're trying to get back into the country and you can't get back into the country because you criticized Israel. They actually did away with those passages in the bill this morning. But you know, this is just one of many, many efforts to try to punish people and silence them for pro-Palestinian views and speech. So
Would they have
it's
been able
just
to get away with that?
I don't think so. I think it would have, you know, they would have lost in court. But it also, so the language of the bill was, you know, it's material support for terrorism. But that was exactly what the Trump administration accused people of Khalil of doing, saying, well, he said free Palestine and so does Hamas, so therefore he's
yeah, free Palestine. Where do I go to get that?
Problems with that argument. Like, you know, Ku Klux Klan members eat and I eat. That doesn't mean like, you know, I support the Ku Klux Klan.
Right.
It's just it's very silly.
That was actually one of my better jokes too. I feel like, and that one, yeah, I don't even think anybody really watched that. That skit I did.
We would have probably had to see how it played out because the language was somewhat clever.
Free
But now we don't have to
Palestine.
because they've done away with it. Although I'm sure they'll come up with something
Just
else.
giving
or they'll
away
find a
free
solution.
shit left and right, like
What
Palestine.
about all of these BDS laws? They just
Yeah,
passed another one, and just recently, didn't they bake this into the? They baked like
Oh,
more
come on,
anti-BDS. I
yo.
think at this, there was like 38 states
Get
had
me
anti-BDS
on
laws
tone,
allowed
yo.
to boycott, divest, or sanction from Israel if you worked for the government or had a government contract in any way, right? And then they just recently did another one. What was this recent one that they just did? Just on September 11th, I think. they
Yeah,
passed
so
it.
there have been so many. So there was a federal effort that was defeated
What's
couple
going
months
on?
ago, and now I guess it's back. I've heard like Lauren Boebert stuck it in. I actually
Boebert?
honestly haven't had time to look at it in detail because there's so much.
Lauren
going on.
Boebert.
But yeah, like, and it's not just state employees.
It's like
which is
Babar
state
the
people
elephant.
Or state contractors, but for
Where the
instance,
fuck am I
Florida
supposed to
had,
go? Am I supposed to go? Oh, it looks like it.
Texas. So, so people couldn't get
The
hurricane
fuck do we
relief
get ice cream?
funds in the state if they had boycotted Israel. You had to sign something saying that you had not boycotted Israel in order to get hurricane relief funds. Like, that's completely insane. And the way they had gotten around this is that people just tend to not challenge this stuff. Like, most people don't boycott Israel, right? Certainly not before 2023. So when there were legal challenges, most people would just sign it.
Free Palestine.
They did face illegal challenges. They did occasionally.
We give some handouts.
But they didn't change the law. So this has allowed them to
It'd be
kind
funny.
of
What
get away
would
with
Palestine be
these
if it was an
suppressive measures
item?
without having to face,
Free Palestine. Oh, thank you.
How have those not been challenged yet? I'm surprised. I mean, these have been going on for a while. The 38 states with these anti-BDS
Oh
laws.
shit.
How has this
I'm an
not
idiot.
already been
I get it.
challenged
I'm an
and done away
idiot.
with?
Well, for the reason I just said, I mean, so they have been challenged. There was a special education teacher or something in Texas who challenged one of the laws. I think she had been prohibited from getting a contract because she's a Palestinian American, had boycotted Israel. She actually did challenge it, and my understanding is they made this exception. It's, okay, we'll contract with you. And so she had, then the lawsuit is.
What does
moot because
Palestine
you don't have
sound
a
like?
case or controversy anymore. So the law is still on the books, but she couldn't challenge it. So that's how they've gotten away with it. And I mean, the fact is most people don't want to bring lawsuits. It's not that easy to find people who are willing to sue. It's a huge pain. You open yourself up to discovery. You know, a lot of people don't want the publicity. They just don't want to deal with
Like
it.
a Clementine?
So that's how, I mean.
That's like the closest.
Hopefully it gets more, I think people are getting more outraged.
It's like the closest thing I could think of.
I think, you know, before 2023, a lot of people had barely heard of Gaza or Palestine. They didn't really know much
It's a
about
Clementine.
it. It's like, okay, whatever. You know, I guess Israel's our ally. I guess it's normal that I have to sign this thing. But as people wake up, hopefully there'll be more challenges.
I just don't understand why our system is set up the way that it is. I guess I think this is like the fundamental crux of it. I think for most of us watching on the sidelines, hoping people like you take these lawsuits on and you know, get our free speech back. the crux for us, I think we don't understand why we can't just challenge the law. Like, why does there have to be a victim that, you know, why can't it just be the courts look at the law? You know, when we're thinking of checks and balances, we're kind of thinking the court would look at the law itself and say, this is actually just the law. We don't, you know, it's the law itself is against the Constitution, and therefore the law needs to go away. And you don't even, everybody in America is a victim. I mean, you don't even need to name victims. It would just be everybody's a victim because this is against the Constitution.
So it
Does that
actually
make
goes
sense?
back.
Like, why can't we do that?
So it actually goes back to the doctrine I mentioned earlier in the context of the Murphy versus Missouri case, the COVID case that went to the Supreme Court. It's this doctrine called standing, and it's sort of made up. It's basically a judicial, just a judicially crafted doctrine. And it comes from Article 3, which says that the federal courts are limited to deciding cases and controversies. So at some point in I think the early 20th century, the Supreme Court said, well, that means you have to show that you yourself have been harmed by the action you're complaining of. And they've now really, it's a way of closing the courthouse doors, really. I mean, I think it's a doctrine that was crafted for practical reasons. They don't want everybody in the country to be able to sue and say we don't like this law. So they want to limit it to people who are directly affected. I don't think it's really it really comes from the Constitution.
I think that glitch went away. I don't know what happened. It's not working anymore.
Against the Constitution, and so I wouldn't need to wait for it to directly harm.
I didn't change anything.
Directly harmed because, you know, I'm an American. I think that this is the issue with all of the COVID cases. You know, I think the most frustrating aspect.
Did you equip something?
Has been.
You might have equipped
something. A lot of
something.
these cases had to be brought forward. I think all of us just wanted the Supreme Court
Wasn't
or some
that
court to say, this is just unconstitutional. You just cannot force people to do these things. Like, this is just anti-American, right? But instead it was like, oh, it's got to be, you know, just bringing forward all these cases, and then the judges saying, well, yeah, okay, you can't do this mandate because you used the wrong agency. OSHA wasn't right. You know, and then it's like, what does that mean? Like, how about not just OSHA isn't the right agency? How about you just can't do this at all to people, right?
Yeah.
Or instead they say, well, you know, you made it arbitrary and capricious, right? Like, yeah, you only put it on some people, but then you
what
have
is
celebrities that
Baker?
were being forced to do this. So it was arbitrary and capricious. So yeah,
I need to figure that out.
And it's like, that's not what we wanted at the core. Same thing with with the BDS stuff. It's not. I don't want to wait for Abby Martin to have to sue, which I think she did, and I don't know what the result was of her case. Actually, do you even know about her case when she?
No.
Well, she was like denied. She was supposed to go speak, I think, at a Georgia university, and they denied her the speaking engagement
Baker.
because of
It's
BDS.
not that great.
They said that she had engaged in BDS.
I don't think that
was against the laws, and then I think she actually took it to court. But you know, it's like I don't have to wait for that sort of situation for us as Americans to say, hey, bastards, like, you guys are passing laws that are clearly anti-American and against the First Amendment. And so you can't do that, but they're allowed to do it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there's just very clear case law, like specifying exactly what harm looks like. And I mean, this is what lawyers sit around thinking of, right? Like, who can sue? And a lot of good legislators or policymakers think hard when they craft the laws or the executive orders in question to make sure it's very hard. There are going to be very few people who can actually sue. So, like, an example is there is a new law saying, or executive order policy saying that they're going to vet the social media posts of non-citizens.
Who was using Sticky Magazine the other day?
Are not going to be let into the country. It's almost impossible to find someone who can sue. Because if you're not in the country, the Supreme Court has been pretty clear. You don't have
Nate isn't on, is he?
It's a matter of executive discretion. You basically have just no right to enter the country. So if the administration can deny you entry,
I'll save that for
no
him.
reason.
I think he was using that Sticky Magazine.
There was at some time a question of whether a spouse might be able to sue and say, like, I have a right. You know, I'm a citizen. My husband is coming over from Lebanon on a visa, and I have the right to live with him. Unfortunately, last year, the Supreme Court said, no, you do not have the right to live with your non-citizen spouse in the country. You have a right to live with them, but you can go live somewhere else.
Is that why?
Say things anti-Israel. So they've just
guns with
made it
TDR
very
license
difficult to sue,
parts.
and this is, you know, this is one of the problems we face as lawyers in these fields.
Keep 50% of magazine's ammo on reload. What does that mean?
What is the worst part right now? The Trump I mean, we saw with Biden. What did
Oh,
the
so when you
besides
reload,
COVID,
if it's like 100
what
bullets
was
into the
Biden
reload, you
administration
keep
also
50, so it'll be
censoring?
100 in, and then you
Or was
So
you still
COVID
have
was-
50. Okay.
Well, yeah, it was the big one. There were a number of agencies involved in censoring election misinformation and
that's right.
posts about the Hunter Biden laptop story. So
That's
that was
right.
problematic too. And that they would occasionally make statements like, "We're going to censor economic misinformation. We're going to
I
get
don't
the
know,
social media
man.
companies." So,
Like,
they were talking about posts saying that a McDonald's burger was 5 times more as expensive as it was and whatever, you know, like that's ridiculous. I don't know. I don't have any evidence that they actually did that. Sometimes politicians just say things because it sounds good, but
Yeah.
and you know,
well,
of the problem
shit.
is, so I think the courts would say to your dilemma, well, that's what the political process is for. You know, if you guys don't like it, then vote for people who pass laws
Sheesh pip.
who say you can't force people to get vaccinated or you can't kick people off social media for their views. But obviously, we know that our politicians are all corrupt and not really doing the bidding of the American public. So we're sort of in this horrible.
Yeah, this sheesh pip's pretty good. What else we got?
Okay, so
we got
the
a good
Biden
pistol.
administration was censoring COVID.
Let's go ahead
election,
and.
that they certainly after J6, right? They were like anybody and everybody who questions the election basically gets censored. And I mean, many people were ripped
As
off.
much
of
as I
YouTube.
don't want
mean,
to
we
do
saw
this.
a lot of censorship going on. And then also the Hunter Biden laptop. That was certainly. Now, Trump administration.
What are we thinking?
What are
SMG maybe?
censoring? I know it's a moving target right now because they're
It's
talking
kind of
about
like my
censoring
only other
certain
option.
things.
My answer today is different than it would have been 2 days ago.
Yeah, no kidding. Right.
So Israel is a huge one. Israel-Palestine speech critical of Israel, and they're just using basically every facet of government that they can come up with. So withholding funds from universities through HHS if they don't tamp down enough on anti-Semitic speech. And of course, as anyone who's been paying attention to this issue knows, anti-Semitic means anti-Israel speech. Just not to say there's no anti-Semitism, but for the most part, most of what they're doing is kicking people out of school, expelling them, deporting them for, criticizing Israel.
Do I really not have any good SMGs?
Or saying other
what's
negative
that one?
things about Israel being an apartheid state. Or that
Oh,
kind of
that's
thing.
the Ludi.
So
That's only a
big one.
41 though,
and
so
it's very
kind of
recent.
yeah.
And
Probably not good
recently,
enough.
Of course, they've been over the last couple days. There's been a massive effort to censor anybody who says anything negative about Charlie Kirk or celebrates his death. And to be clear, like I don't celebrate his death. I disagreed with him on probably 90% of the things he said, but I don't want people to die. I don't think that's the right way. I appreciate his defense of free speech. Actually, he gave platforms to people he disagreed with and said speech is not violence. Violence is violence. So I don't approve of that.
So
but on the
definitely
other
be looking
hand,
for ammo.
You should be able to say what you want on social media without fearing the government coming after you. And then there's been a massive sort of cancel culture effort, getting people fired for what they said about him. And even people there was a teacher she was singled out, and her speech to her class was recorded, and she had said, I don't like a lot of what Charlie Kirk said. I find it offensive, but he didn't deserve to die. She was specifically eschewing violence. And saying this is not the way, and they're still coming after her because she didn't say the right things about Charlie Kirk, which is crazy.
It is insane.
That's pretty
the
weird.
Thing that's been the culture.
I find it the
and I think
football
that's one of the
shit.
biggest
It's like
issues around free
these
speech.
players
You
still
can take
failed to
every
condemn
sport, you
or
can
like
take
come
every
out
sport, you can
and
do all of this.
celebrate
But
Charlie
it's almost
Kirk.
we have
It's
to have
like,
a fundamental shift in culture
why are
in
they
order for
forced
Americans to
to?
remember
I find it really
that, we are a
like
country
I
for
love
free
Charlie,
speech,
but like
and
why
what
are
does
they
free
forced to
speech
do
actually
that? It
mean?
doesn't make any sense.
I
And
remember
Charlie would
being a
not be
kid
for that. That's
growing
what
up
I'm
in
saying.
Idaho,
You wouldn't be for that shit.
in northern
Like,
Idaho, there was
why?
always this neo-Nazi camp.
It might be a
this
respectable
Nazi
thing to
parades
do,
every year.
but it's like
And I remember
there
being a
no way
kid
should be forced to
in
do it.
school, and in school, all of us kids learning about this, like seeing it in the news, and we'd come to school and we'd all be shocked, like, what in the world? There's like a Nazi camp up there, and they're allowed to have a parade. And all of our teachers and all of the adults, like everybody, just collectively would say, well, we don't have to like it, but they're allowed because that's free speech. And you know what? Nobody will show up, and it's just no one supports it, and
Let's
that's
see,
it.
yeah.
But I was taught from a young age of we don't have to like it, but they're allowed to do it because otherwise it'll come back and bite you in the ass, in the future. And it's like, where did that sentiment go? Now it's just, okay, I'm going to cancel, but it's a cultural issue. So even if you can't take it to court, because you can't really take to court the cancel
Oh,
culture.
Bob
But,
Saget.
the mob coming after people and getting
Right.
them fired, and you
Is
can't
this
really
boss
take
up
that to
here?
court,
You
but
just
that's like
there wasn't
we've got
really
a
much on
cultural
this
problem
one, so
right now.
just giving me
Yes.
ammo.
It's funny. I actually just said this to a journalist.
We
like,
doing
a lot,
this?
'cause he was asking about this sort of attempt
That
to
looks like a
get
gate
private
right
employers
there.
to fire people for celebrating Charlie Kirk's murder or being too not upset about it or whatever. And I said the exact same thing. I mean, private employers,
The
they're not
noisy
being forced by
cricket.
the state.
I
They have a lot of
actually really like this
discretion,
gun.
but, from sort of a policy perspective or a principles perspective, I think we should be arguing against this because people have to remember. Now
It doesn't
the
really
right is
seem to
doing
hit
it
me
when the
too
left was in
much.
power. They were doing it, and it's going to go back. So the exact same, and it's the same people who claim to be against cancel culture on the right are now.
And
like
then they say,
Chip
but
Roy.
this is different, Janine. Don't you know this is different? This is different.
That's what they
why I was here.
always say.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but
that's
this
what
is
they
different.
always say. Yeah, and it's yeah, it's really a problem. And I think that one of the things that's going on is it's much harder to tolerate it when we have social media. Like before social media, you didn't really know what the woman at Walmart thought about Trump or Charlie Kirk or Palestine.
Yeah.
Now we kind of know what everybody thinks, and I think people have to learn to be more tolerant because the views people express on social media can be very sharp, and they can be hard to hear sometimes. I mean, I have to hear things about Palestinians that make me cringe all the time or make me kind of upset, but I just, this is part of life. So I think there's a temptation because of social media and the way that people can sort of express themselves very openly. But we have to sort of continue to embrace free speech even with technology we have.
Yeah, and I don't mind an employer, when people talk about, well, if a private employer doesn't like what you say, they have the right to fire you. And I agree that absolutely an employer should be allowed to do that. But I think the issue I have is the mob. If it's organic, like if somebody says something and all of the customers find out somehow, not
Yeah,
from the
I should
mob,
probably
but
put that
just
other one
organically
away because
find
it's
out,
not
and then they demand
it's
that
not
the
doing enough
business,
damage.
like,
I'm
hey,
gonna
you're
run out of
supposed to
ammo
operate. I guess that's
too quick.
to me fair enough. But what I'm seeing online is like a lynch mob, right? They're like
Yeah.
literally hunting and targeting people and trying to ruin their lives. It's not an organic. People just, it's not organic at all.
Right. And I mean, one thing, I don't think there's necessarily very clear lines. Like, it can get a little fuzzy. I mean, if you're a teacher and you say, I don't think black kids are as smart as white kids on social media. I mean, I can understand, okay, you can't be a teacher. Certainly not at our school. Like, that conflicts directly with, like, sort of extremely important principles. And also when it comes to children, like, so teachers of school children, I think we all have higher standards. But I mean, people need to be a little bit smart about drawing
GMR, that's the one that Nate was talking about, I think.
Doing directly conflicts with your ability to do your job, and of course, there's a lot of room for interpretation there, and the censorship people will stretch that very, stretch that very tight. But then I understand. Okay, the employer has some latitude to do that without it being sort of abusive or problematic. But for the most part, I don't think most people's jobs, it really matters what they think about Charlie Kirk.
Right. Strange times that we're, it's really been, it's been really hard not to hate everybody this week.
Yeah. I just hate most people most of the time.
This week I really,
Oh,
just the right going crazy and acting exactly like the left. And saying, but this is different. And they don't realize that, the left during COVID, they really believed those of us that were for freedom were killing people. I mean, they really, really believed that in their heart. They genuinely thought we were killing grandma, right?
Yeah.
So to them, it was an existential crisis that needed to be clamped down on. And we fought against that. So it isn't different. It's like...
Oh. And I mean, this is very similar to what you're saying, but like a lot of people genuinely thought if you didn't get the vaccine, you were willingly spreading the virus to vulnerable people, and therefore you were causing violence. That's exactly the same
they
thing.
still think that. It's been 5.5 years. They still think that shit.
But it's okay. So what do we do? I mean,
the vaccine just obviously saved millions of lives. Okay.
I'm pretty frightened. I mean, right now.
What proof? How do we prove that, and how do we even measure that? Well, clearly it did.
They want to censor, and this was
how do we measure it?
During COVID, wanting to censor.
Like, show me on paper how that worked.
Were successfully silenced and censored or shadow
It
banned
doesn't.
or whatever. And now I'm seeing that
It's just
push
something we
even Trump
say because we
retweeting a
just like
video
we've been
calling for
conditioned to say these things. We just
basically
repeat it.
holding journalists
We just
accountable.
repeat it
It's like,
back
where have I heard
outward.
that
It's like,
exact
well, no,
phrase
clearly.
before? From the left,
No
right?
doctors, no nurses will look me
I
in
mean,
the
what-
eye and
what
give
can
me
we
a
even
clear
do?
answer on it. It's like, except for the
Well, I
ones
mean,
that were
that's why I
so
do what I do,
blatantly
is to keep
propagandized by it.
fighting in court.
They're like,
for,
oh, yeah,
free
you needed
speech
the
and
vaccine.
also talking
The
about
other
it, I
ones
mean,
being like,
talking
well,
to people like you and sort of
I'm not
helping people
I'm not
understand these
quite
ideas
sure,
that I
you
think
know.
A lot of people just haven't thought about that
I'm
much
not even
before.
allowed
Like,
to
we
talk
all
about it.
have
The ones that weren't
temptation
about it weren't allowed to talk
silence
about it. It's
speech
like, there's
that upsets
something
us,
not right
That's,
here.
like, kind of natural. You know, when I see people like Randy Fine saying things like, may the streets of Gaza run with the blood of children or whatever, you know, I don't like that. That upsets me. Then there's a temptation to be like, he should be censored for this, or he should be. I mean, I actually don't think that, because I'm glad that people can say what they think and then we know how heinous they are. But I think really emphasizing the importance of dialogue and debate
Oh my
as
God.
a means
Almost did it.
Of convincing people rather than silencing them. And like, silencing people isn't actually very effective. What happens is they just go underground, they get more extreme. And
Smell it.
You know, like Charlie Kirk's actually a good example. He had been extremely pro-Israel. We know that he was having some doubts recently about his positions.
Oh, is it just this? Pod Profit?
Okay, so let's say, to wrap this up, let's say one of us is like, hey, I've been censored.
Got a little bit of a travel station on going on over here.
We've got a case. Tell us the process, because you were saying, you know, it is.
Oh, they're making it easy on us, which I appreciate, because I don't want to fuck. I'm not much of a gamer as much as I used to be,
could
so
happen any day now, right? With everything going on.
having to fucking do this over and over and over. No, I'm good. Yeah, hit me with that boss action. Well, not over and over. I'm just saying, like, you'd have to go through all those guys again just to reach the boss if you fucking die to this boss right here.
How deep into my personal life are they going to get into it with, like, discovery?
Well, that's all very fact specific.
It looks like
part of the issue is getting the right
bully
lawyer
mong.
connected with the right plaintiff. I mean, I'm free, so we're a nonprofit. I work pro bono.
Primordial Garden.
We're a small team,
Guardian.
so I have to pick cases
Garden.
very, very carefully.
Just fighting a garden.
You know, I can only bring a couple cases at a time, so I want to bring the ones that are going to make the maximum impact. So I have to look very carefully at the fact patterns.
Radix.
I don't want to get kicked out on standing. I don't want surprises. So, you know, someone says they've been censored, but then there were some allegations, you know, legitimate allegations of sexual harassment or something. I'm probably going to stay away from that one. Like, well, it's not really clear what the cause was. But it really depends.
I'm fucking melting this mofo.
It sort of depends on how much of a fact
Not up in here.
there is. So if, like, the government shut down your Rumble channel, and you had direct evidence of that, if Trump said, we shut down Kim Iverson's Rumble channel, well, that would be great. We made Rumble do it, or we told them whatever, we're going to punish them economically in some way.
I'm doing that on Ultimate Vault
And,
Hunter
you
too.
know,
I
you have
melted that dude.
That
Double creme?
would be a pretty straightforward case, but if you, like, so what was the case with the Missouri versus Biden situation was we had the administration saying, people in the administration saying, we're making sure that the social media companies shut down COVID misinformation, information that discourages people from getting the vaccines. And that was good, and that was enough to allow a court to get us to discovery. So we got a lot of emails and stuff that corroborated our supposition that the government was really harassing the companies behind the scenes. But again, it wasn't enough to convince the court that our specific plaintiffs.
Does this keep going, or what's going on here?
What you really need is those sort of direct links.
Yeah. It seems like Harvard would have a case. It seems like a lot of these Ivy Leagues. Was it Harvard that just did the deal, and they're like, okay, you know, we'll.
Just want to make sure I didn't miss any. I saw those red chests, so I just want to make sure I didn't miss any up here.
There was Columbia, Brown, a couple.
Because I was not looking when I came out.
Basically, Brown's settlement is absurd, and a lot of them, their settlement agreements require them to adopt the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism and enforcing civil rights law. So what that means, the IHRA definition, for those who don't know, of anti-Semitism includes, like, saying Israel is a racist endeavor, comparing Israel to Nazi Germany, criticizing Israel when you don't criticize other countries who've abused human rights. I mean, just really ridiculous. And that person who actually wrote it, by the way, said this isn't supposed to be used for purposes of legal enforcement. This is like something you look at when someone's being accused of anti-Semitism. These are some indicia of anti-Semitism. You know, so if a neo-Nazi who has said he hates Jews and wants to kill them all also is accusing Israel of being a racist endeavor, well, maybe that's another indication. But if I say it, it's a little bit different. But so they're adopting this
Well,
when
that's cool.
a Jewish student complains that they've been discriminated against.
Can I
This
come
is
back
the
here
assessment
later
metric
on?
that they're using, which means
If I wanted to, like,
effectively
bring
that
my
if you
friends
criticize
type
Israel and
thing?
that makes a Jewish student uncomfortable, that you can be found guilty of violating the Civil Rights Act.
I think you can.
Title VI of the Civil Rights Act, and can be kicked out of school, or if you're a professor, lose your job. And the big effect this has is to silence people, because they're going to be afraid and they're going to say, you know what, I don't want to deal with this at all. I don't want to risk it, so I'm just not going to talk about this subject at all. And that's the goal.
It seems like these universities capitulating, though.
Well, that's
would
our first
almost,
vault. That was kind of cool.
Give them a case on about the First Amendment and free speech. Seems like them saying, "Okay, fine, we'll do what you want, government," and then turn around and the lawyers can say, "All right, we did that, and now we can actually take this case to court and prove that the government forced us into this."
Got a weapon?
So Harvard actually did do that.
What is this going to do?
I haven't had a chance to read it yet. The ruling's very long. But Harvard actually did get a good I think it was a preliminary injunction. So they got a good decision. I heard the decision was good, and I saw a couple passages. I didn't read the whole thing yet. Okay. So the universities, I think, are in a good place to sue. I was actually explaining to people about 8 months ago.
On auto reload, so just don't
celebrating the
your accuracy goes way down.
That our bad decision in Murphy could come back to haunt them, because if a student wants to sue, saying I was kicked out because I criticized Israel, and I think that the administration, the presidential administration, was ultimately responsible, they're going to have to show that causation. And there was actually a decision from involving the Columbia AAUP, where the court cited our case and said that professors can't show, like Columbia might have disciplined them anyway. Columbia can't show, the professors can't show that this was the result of the administration's conduct, the presidential administration's conduct. So this is exactly how bad case law, used against one side can then come back to haunt you.
Oh, when you're reloading. Gotcha.
Gosh.
Right.
Well, let's hope that, I don't know. I'm sick of hoping. I don't know.
Our country is not on a good course.
No, I mean, not, just like I said, once I thought, I was surprised, I'm sure like you were, that the right was suddenly defending free speech, during the COVID years. And it's just been really disheartening to see them now going full blown towards censorship. And then, of course, using but it's different. This is different. This is different. This is not apples to, this is apples to oranges. Ain't not, and it's like, okay, yeah, I've heard that the whole time. Tell us about.
And that's fair. I kind of agree with Kim.
I can't make it. I'm having kittens.
It is a little bit different, but it's not so different enough to actually be like, well, now we need censorship. And that's where I agree.
That reason for
like, this is cold-blooded murder versus fucking something with Floyd that was just completely. It was a fuck up.
I'm sure they'll be.
And what happened to him was fucked up, but he died of an overdose. He didn't die from Chauvin, so.
And anybody can.
That being said, it's like, okay, it kind of changes things.
I honestly am not entirely sure how much it is, but it's.
Or are we talking COVID? Because I've seen a lot of Floyd comparisons.
And, it's
COVID, same thing.
Including, people
just censorship. Actually, COVID was so much worse. Because COVID, it was like this. This actually has to do with our health, guys. We need to be able to ask questions.
What's his name? Bassem Youssef, the comedian, will also be there.
Yeah.
My shit's wigging.
So
it had 0 points.
Palestinian poet,
What's going on?
Who,
it's because I'm in the wrong one.
Gaza after being held by the IDF with his family. He will also be there. He's a Pulitzer Prize-winning poet, actually, has written for the New Yorker. So lots of great people. It's an opportunity to hear from people from within the community. There'll be good food, I hear, and just
I'm sure.
good time.
Okay, and how many days is it?
It is so it's the 25th through the 28th, and I think it ends around 2:30 on the 20th. Yeah, so Sunday the 28th, and then it starts
Thursday to Sunday. So it's a Thursday to Sunday event. It is coming up 10 days, so people can get tickets to this.
Okay.
I'm sure the
Back
food
to
will
what
be
I was
fantastic.
doing.
I mean, give me a break. Arab food. I mean, it's like the Mediterranean, Middle Eastern food is like the best.
Yeah, I'm biased, but that's also my opinion.
It was pretty bomb.
Well, I'm not.
I love
I'm not
food.
Arab
I
at
love all
and
food.
it's
We were just
still,
talking
to me,
about
one of the best.
yesterday how
I mean,
just how
outside of
good burgers
Vietnamese
are.
food,
It's like
you
that's
have
one of
some
the
bias
best
towards Vietnamese
foods.
food.
Honestly,
I
I
would say,
know
like, Middle Eastern
Americans
food
get dogged on for
and
just not really
Mexican food
having
to me are my
authentic
So it's
culture.
funny. I like Asian,
But
Middle Eastern,
god
Mexican
damn,
too, so it's
a
like-
good hamburger
great cuisine.
off the
So I'm sure
grill.
it'll be fantastic.
I
If you're
love
right, lots of
firing
great
up the
speakers
grill.
will be
Just
there.
firing up my Weber, just
People can buy
throwing
tickets. We do
throwing a
have the
good
link
burger
down
on there.
below. And again, that does start in
Homemade.
just 10 days. So if you're in the Dearborn, Michigan area,
Doesn't
you'd
get
like
better
to
than
go
that.
to
And
this
if it's
might be
if it's
something really
good,
fun to go to.
good
And
like
in my experience going to
organic,
like,
and even
for
like
one, just going to the,
from
just going to
farm,
Palestine,
like farm to table type thing. If you're getting the meat
myself, and
local, and if
also
you're like
going to
if
any
you're
sort
making
of
your own bread,
Palestinian or Arab events, I mean, the
it's
warmest,
just
nicest people, and you just get overfed.
I don't
Yeah.
I think we don't really
get fed
fully
on, like, great food,
understand
and
how
everybody's really
how
warm, welcoming,
messed up
and
our
really
food
loving.
is
So
until
I'm
we
sure
really
it'll be a
eat
great,
real
great
food.
time.
Take
Janine,
take a
Eunice, thank you so much for being
Honeycrisp
here. Really
apple
appreciate
to
it.
an
Legal director of
organic
the
Honeycrisp
American Arab
apple.
Anti-Discrimination
No joke.
Committee, and we do
Go
have that
go
link
buy
down
one of
below
each
to
at the
AirCon
store
2025.
and
So
try them
hopefully-
side by side
hopefully people will see you
and tell
there
me
when
that
they
there
want to
isn't a
meet you.
I
difference.
will be there, yes.
I mean, nursing
Because
babies, you know,
holy
hopefully not. Hopefully
smokes,
the cat
when
does
I
the
tried it, I
work,
was
but
like,
you
it's
never
like
know.
eating candy
So-
compared to like we had
Thank you,
just a
Janine.
regular
Thank you so
Honeycrisp,
much for having me.
just off of the standard, just
Thank you for
non-organic.
watching this clip from the full Kim Iverson
And it
show,
was-
which you can catch Monday
There was
through
no
Friday,
flavor.
2
It was
p.m.
just
Pacific,
muffled.
5
It
p.m.
was-
Eastern at KimIversonShow.com. It is free for you to watch. Again, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern.
God, Kim, you're loud.
KimIversonShow.com. See you there.
You're loud, Kim. You're loud. You're too loud. No, but yeah, it's. Oh, sorry, guys. Got some Ishmael on my microphone. But yeah, that Honeycrisp apple I ate, it was just muffled. It was like 10% the flavor. Okay, maybe not. That's an exaggeration. Maybe like half the flavor. Maybe more than half though. I would say it was very like there's no flavor to this, and you have like organic Honeycrisp, and it's like it tastes like candy. No joke. I know it's a lot more expensive, but holy crap, there is a lot more taste to it. And I think you can just tell the difference once you start eating organic. A lot of things, you can tell the difference. And I used to be snobby about it, being like, probably just the same shit, honestly. They're just marking the price up, wrapping it in better packaging. And in some ways, yes. But also, like, you just kind of have to do trial and error and see what really works for organic. Like, a lot of times we'll still buy organic veggies. That's probably one of the worst things to do, but honestly, man, like, it's better than eating just so much shit that we thought was good for us. Anything in packages, anything in the middle aisles. Yeah, going up and down the aisle, seeing all the frozen, just preserved, like Hunger Mans, like TV dinners, frozen pizzas, just all that crap is so bad for us. It's like we already knew it was bad for us growing up, but we didn't know how fucking bad it was, even when our parents didn't. So it's like you can't blame them. They didn't know either. Like, we legitimately grew up on garbage, like eating just like cardboard. It was not even food. It's just like eating cardboard. Just going out back and just finding a pile of cardboard that you're going to go recycle and just being like, oh, dinner. Just throw that in the microwave and just throw a bunch of weird salt and weird chemically refined flavorings and seasonings and just pour that right over the top. And yeah, not only we're not eating food, we're just adding chemicals, preservatives. It's no wonder we're so messed up as a society. It really, I feel like a lot of it comes from our food, big time. What are we listening to? Washington Post.
Good morning. morning and welcome to Rising.
Yeah,
Happy Tuesday. We've got
the
another
tide
great
is
show for you
turning.
today.
Lefties are actually getting in trouble now.
I told Robbie I got extra dressed up, extra snazzy for him today.
I like the shoes.
Thank you. We already zoomed in past them, but as we go out to commercial, I'm sure you guys will continue to see my bright pink shoes. So coming up on Rising, President Trump's deportation efforts are hurting some farmers who actually voted for him.
Plus, the U.S. has struck yet another alleged cartel boat that the president says is carrying dangerous illegal drugs.
And Attorney General Pam Bondi is facing criticism over saying that hate speech should not be tolerated. But first, Robbie, what's on your radar?
Let's get to it. The
I think
shocking
it's in there
assassination
somewhere.
of Charlie Kirk has caused understandable distress for so many Americans, including not just his fans and supporters, but millions of other people who are rightly dismayed by the prospects of political violence.
Ooh.
Partly because we just aren't accustomed to it. While it's commonplace for politicians and media figures to warn of violent political rhetoric leading to more actual violence, what remains the case that ideologically motivated killings of national figures are blessedly rare. Now, Kirk's grisly murder, which was captured on video and watched on social media by millions of people, is unusual and profoundly unsettling. Many people are processing their grief in ways that are edifying. Spontaneous vigils hosted by individuals whose lives were changed by him, kind remembrances of his approach to politics penned by his ideological foes, and
What was
so on.
that?
Others are not. In fact, many of Kirk's
Radix.
fans are now engaged in
Oh,
one of the
nice. They
largest
marked the
mass
vault. Oh,
cancellation
of course
efforts
they
of
would
all
mark.
time.
I'm dumb.
Some
I'm a
Republican legislators,
Brad. Did
activists,
you
and conservative media
know?
figures are assembling watch lists with the explicit aim
Of
of
course they would mark the
silencing,
fucking
firing,
vault.
expelling, perhaps even criminalizing
I almost-
any and all anti-Kirk sentiment.
I almost half
Representative Clay
expected it
Higgins
to
wants to use
disappear,
explicit
and then
government
there would
pressure
just
to
be
crush
like
anyone
another one
who,
somewhere.
quote,
Like
ran
they
their
would just
mouth and
randomly pop
belittled the
up.
gravity
I
of
don't know.
Kirk's death. Top Trump advisor
I didn't really
Stephen
give it
Miller
much
is vowing
thought.
some kind of unspecified crackdown on the right's political enemies. Conservative influencers are writing down the names and professions of Kirk besmirchers and calling their
Where
employees.
is this?
Vice President J.D. Vance, filling in as a guest host on Kirk's show, instructed viewers to engage in unrestricted canceling. Let's watch.
Civil society, Charlie understood this well, is not just something that flows from the government. It flows from each and every one of us. It flows from all of us. So when you
Is it
see someone
underneath or
celebrating
something?
Charlie's murder, call them out. And hell, call their employer. We don't believe in
Oh, it's right
political
there.
violence, but we do believe in
Shit.
civility.
Now, I don't totally disagree with Vance there. He's right that political violence and consequences are not the same thing. That's why when it comes to cancel culture, what Vance is proposing, it is always necessary to draw distinctions and register certain caveats. Criticism is not necessarily cancellation, and not every person currently under attack for having said something ugly about Kirk is a victim. The First Amendment is a bulwark against government action. It does not mean everyone can say whatever they want and suffer no consequences. If your boss fires you, you aren't being censored unless the government twisted your boss's arm. That said, it's worth keeping in mind that many commentators, ranging from classical liberals and free speech centrists on the left of center to many folks on the hard right, have embraced a larger view of free speech and cancel culture. It's better to live in a world where people don't get fired or expelled because they tweeted something stupid. And yes, it's true that there's a difference between canceling someone for welcoming the death of Kirk and canceling someone for tweeting something homophobic when they were 14 years old. There's also a big difference between canceling someone for justifying violence against Kirk and canceling someone who merely objected to his views, behavior, and political projects.
Yeah, it's a pretty big
Furthermore,
difference.
there's a major
That's
difference
where
between
Kim was like,
canceling
yeah, it's not
someone
any
who
different. It's like, I understand what you're saying, Kim, but
and canceling someone who is
Kinda
otherwise
is.
obscure. So I want to consider two examples of post-Kirk cancellation attempts.
But I mean,
that
like,
demonstrate
exactly
caution
what I was saying.
and
It's like, it
discipline
doesn't
in some
it doesn't
cases,
call for
and in
censorship.
others, accountability, yes, is quite deserved.
It's not
First
enough to
off,
call for
News for
censorship.
Trump activist
Tim had a
Ryan Fournier
good point,
attacked
though.
Shane Gillis,
The other
the
night,
nation's
last
local
night, whenever
comedian,
that was.
who was himself canceled by the left and subsequently rehabilitated for employing an audio technician who called Kirk a Nazi. Quote, "Is this who Shane Gillis has running his sound?" asked Fournier. Well, Gillis responded, "No, it isn't." On X, he shared a photo of his actual sound guy, who's an entirely different person. The tech person identified by Ryan Fournier was just a random person who helped with sound on one of Gillis's show at some point in the past. Gillis probably doesn't get to handpick the camera guy or the sound guy or the janitor or the plumber at every venue he's ever visited. I haven't. No one does. Being mad at Gillis about this is exceedingly lame, and people are rightly dragging Fournier on X. Just goes to show how lazy and careless attempts at cancellation can become. Again, this was something the right was well aware of during the heyday of wokeness, 2014 to 2022. Targeting ordinary working people for unwise statements on social media should be viewed with skepticism. Then there's the case of Karen Ataya, a Washington Post columnist and Global Opinions editor who was fired by the paper for comments that she made about Kirk on Blue Sky. This strikes me as a case where the cancellation, if that's what we're calling it, is actually justified. To be clear, Ataya should not have lost her job for merely disagreeing with or criticizing Kirk, yet she contends that's exactly what happened. I am the one being silenced for doing my job, she writes on her new Substack. The Blue Sky posts in question were trollish and unflattering. America, especially white America, is not going to do what it needs to get rid of guns in this country, end quote. Though Ataya is entitled to her opinion, what she's not entitled to do as a journalist and editor is manipulate someone else's quote. Ataya, by her own admission, wrote a post on Blue Sky in which she quoted Kirk saying the following, quote, "Black women do not have the brain processing power to be taken seriously. You have to go steal a white person's slot." That's an offensive thing to say. One problem, Kirk never said that. What he said was that the achievements of 4 specific black women, former First Lady Michelle Obama, former MSNBC host Joy Reid, Supreme Court Associate Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, and former Representative Sheila Jackson Lee, those achievements were suspect because of their support for affirmative action, that the existence of racial preferences casts a pall over their selections for various positions. You can criticize that point or disagree with how it was worded, but he did not say verbatim the words attributed to him by Ataya, which makes it sound like he disdains every person in that identity group. And she put it in quotes, which is journalistic malpractice. That's a fundamentally different situation. Opposing cancel culture does not mean there should be zero accountability for anyone in a public role, only means that those of us who denounce the excesses of woke enforcement during the late 2010s should similarly reject a right-wing counter-reaction that seeks to unperson anyone who does not hold Kirk in sufficient esteem.
So we know that Jeff Bezos is in charge of the Washington Post, which has made a move, because you mentioned twisting the arm, like if the government is twisting the arm of a private company. Well, we know that Jeff Bezos is kind of preparing his relationship with the president in order to appease him, like most people are that own companies now, like CBS is doing. It seems like that from my purview. And so that's one thing, is that leadership is doesn't have any bandwidth for her correcting herself or being, they show no leniency whatsoever. Her quote was wrong in that it said black people, but he named 4 black women. Specifically, like, let's say Ketanji Brown Jackson, for example. She graduated magna cum laude from Harvard in 1992. So there's nothing about her. And I wanted to make sure I read his quote seriously, because he said he said Ketanji specifically, she's claiming that she used affirmative action. Then the quote is, doesn't have the brain processing power to otherwise really be taken seriously. And then he went on to say, quote, steal a white person's slot to be taken seriously. So my question to anybody who thought that was an appropriate comment and not a condescending or demeaning comment is, why do you think that's automatically a white person's slot? That's the entire point for affirmative action, is because
he's saying because they're at the bottom of the totem pole, and if they were the most in a meritocracy, if they were the most qualified for the position, then they would have been bumped. Every co-host they find for this goddamn show, but it's just the lefty ideology. They just try to take things out of context.
People of any race, like Asian people,
the same opportunity.
Well, that's what affirmative action does, is bring people to the table. Yes, that's the whole point.
No,
of
it does
action,
not.
to bring
It
everyone
bumps.
equally to the table
It's to
and
give
make it
special
equal playing field.
consideration.
No, it's not.
Yeah, yes, it is. It's a handicap. Yes, it is.
So what she's doing
It's a
as
handicap.
reporter is saying,
You can
like,
call it for what it
you want
is.
me to continuously praise somebody
We're just
who
done.
said
We're
things,
just
for
done
example,
playing
on a different
pretend.
podcast, like if he walks
There's been
into
too many
a
years
plane
of just
and
been
sees a
like,
black
well,
pilot,
yeah,
he wants to
okay,
question whether or
but
not
it's like, no,
that
it's a
person can do
handicap.
their
Just call
job.
it what
And
it
I'm
is.
very much
It's fair.
paraphrasing, but that's the
You don't have to
overall
be. You don't have to feel bad about it.
For some other reason than the most qualified pilots, then I would understand that.
But so he should say that about the white pilots too. That could be somebody's nepo hire.
It's like it doesn't mean that we look down. Actually, if anything, it's the other way around. Like, the left looks down on it, thinks that they need that handicap. I don't think they do.
That's why we got affirmative action.
Affirmative action is not just making it available or doing publicity on behalf of roles. It's saying you get extra points toward consideration for the role if you fit an identity-based group. And
How do I open this
think
gate?
is wrong.
Is that what I'm supposed to do? Is open this?
Largely excluded in irrational and unexplainable numbers, then let's bring people to the table from these communities because they're equally as smart. And what we saw with Ketanji Brown Jackson is, yes, that's in fact true.
Well, let's
She's
consider
equally
Kamala
smart.
Harris. Like Joe Biden said, because he was forced to say this, I'm going to pick a black woman for this role. So how do I know he picked the best person to be vice president if he already said he's doing it based on some identity group? He could have said there are many black
Robbie's,
women who would be great at this
there's a
role.
reason
And
why
he knows
he's
that
still on this show, because he's the only one that can really hold it together. Yeah, he's the only one that actually speaks sense. It's like, oh, he's MAGA. No, he just talks sense.
Don't make me go down the list of people that are wholly unqualified. And so, therefore, questioning the one black woman that's ever vice president ever in the history of our country seems odd to start with her.
Okay, but he didn't say that
She was
black women as a
terrible.
category
Michelle Obama
are
at least had poise,
unfit or
and
the way
she
that
would
quote
like she could
makes it sound
speak.
like, which
But
is
it
why
pops
she's
in his
losing
head
Kamala
that
was
people
an
of color, that
idiot.
They're only there
my point.
because they're not equally as
No,
smart.
because they
but he
said,
doesn't have that
because
same
those
question for people that are.
specific people said that. They said they got their
Kamala
position
was like,
based
she
on
spoke
Yeah,
at like
from
a
the
5th grade
law
level,
made to make
Gotten
sure
it
that they were
without-
even looked
which
at to have
apparently
opportunity to be at the table,
in
but
today's
at the
day
table,
is
as we
like,
saw, they excelled.
like today's
So that's
standard
what I think
apparently
that
that's
is
like
missing the entire point of
graduation.
affirmative
I
action.
heard that
you
most people
agree
can't
with me
read past an
that
8th grade
no one
level
should get
anymore.
special
It's
and
like,
additional
what?
consideration on the
And a
basis
lot of them
race?
can't
I
even
do not,
read.
but I do think
Well, then
people
we
should
don't-
get an
What? And
opportunity
they're
to
graduating?
and people
How do
should
you
know
even
what
make
they're
it through
don't have any
school? How does that
disagreement,
work?
I don't give any
What are you guys
disagreement
doing in
whatsoever.
school all
Yeah, I have
day?
plenty of disagreements.
That's the
But
question.
I do want him to rest in peace.
Okay, as long as you don't get any extra
You really want to teach a
consideration,
kid?
I
Don't
have
send
no
them to
problem
school.
with whatever
Such a waste of
you're
time,
trying
and
to
they're just
say.
coming out worse.
Next up, Attorney General Pam Bondi is getting pushed
I hate
back
to
over
say it
her
because I
remarks
know a lot
on
of
hate
really
speech.
good
We'll
teachers
discuss
that mean
today
well,
with us.
but some of them I wouldn't call good teachers. I see where my teacher. At least some subjects, not all subjects. Other subjects they did well. You could tell though. It was just like, I don't know if we just had a. For the school in my high school was just short-handed on teachers, or. Yeah, no, we had a lot of teachers that were like doubling up, teaching two different subjects. And a lot of times it just didn't work. Oh. Oh, this ought to be good. I'd like to hear this. Pam Bondi does need to go. Well, it's like nobody likes you. Where'd you come from? Why'd you get elected? Where'd you come from? Where'd you
Good
go?
morning
Where'd
and
you come
welcome
from,
to
Cotton Eye
Rising. We've
Joe?
got another great show for you today. It is Wednesday, and this feels like it's been a long week so far, and it's just getting started.
I know there's so
I
much
want
news,
in.
Yeah.
You know, and heavy
much
news in
happening.
the last 2 weeks. It's been like
Very heavy, I know. A lot of heavy for many of our viewers, and we appreciate you sticking with us and getting through it.
So coming up on Rising, once again, the Trump administration is facing accusations of trying to whitewash American history.
Plus, Luigi Mangioni's terrorism charges have actually been tossed. Some of his supporters were cheering over it.
Terrorism?
And as Israel begins their offensive into Gaza City, a UN commission is saying Israel is committing genocide in Gaza. So Robbie, let's start with what's on your radar first.
All right, Attorney General Pam Bondi has made quite the First Amendment-related faux pas in a recent interview about what the federal government could do to deter political violence in the wake of Charlie Kirk's assassination. She said the federal government would go after anyone engaged in hate speech. Bondi should know, however, that hate speech is vigorously protected by the First Amendment and, as such, cannot be policed. Now, unfortunately, the Attorney
think I
General
see
made
it,
an
actually.
illusory distinction between free speech and hate speech, implying that the latter was subject to government action. There's free speech and then there's hate speech, and there is no place, especially now, especially after what happened to Charlie, in our society. That's what she said. Take a look.
There's free speech and then there's hate speech. And there is no place, especially now, especially after what happened to Charlie, in our society.
Do you see more law enforcement going after these groups who are using hate speech and putting cuffs on people so we show them that some action is better than no action?
We will absolutely target you, go after you, if you are targeting anyone with hate speech.
Bondi sounds like Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, Kamala Harris's pick to be vice president,
Nice.
who
I
made
didn't
similar
think that'd
claims
work.
during the 2024 campaign. And that's a very bad thing because both of them are appallingly wrong. The Supreme Court has repeatedly affirmed that so-called hate speech falls under First Amendment protection. Most recently in the 2017 case Mattal versus Tam, which was decided unanimously after numerous commentators, including many fellow conservatives, called out Bondi. She tried to clarify her remarks. She said she was referring to, quote, hate speech that crosses the line into threats of violence.
No.
Okay, well, she's correct that true threats of violence against specific individuals or against institutions.
Is that it
those
right
do
there?
lose First Amendment protection if they're specific enough, though general advocacy of violence is usually still protected. You can say it. This kind of speech isn't called hate speech, though. It's called incitement. Hate speech on its own, simply not a separate category of unprotected speech from the standpoint of the Supreme Court. Now, in a separate interview, Bondi also suggested that employers had an obligation to fire employees for engaging in hate speech or for actions such as refusing to print pro-Kirk posters at Office Depot. Let's watch.
Employers, you have an obligation to get rid of people. You need to look at people who are saying horrible things, and they shouldn't be working with you. Businesses cannot discriminate. If you want to go in and print posters with Charlie's pictures on them for a vigil, you have to let them do that. We can prosecute you for that. I have Harmeet Dillon right now in our civil rights unit looking at that immediately, that Office Depot had done that. We're looking at that.
Is it
Given that
right here?
conservative
Oh my
legal
God, it's
advocates
not
have
even.
worked
Well, what's in there then?
defeat
Let me
public accommodation laws
let me
that
in.
clash with private
By
entities'
the
moral,
hairs on my
political,
chinny
or
chin
religious
chin.
beliefs. Many on the right were not pleased to hear Bondi adopting this position. The Daily Wire's Matt Walsh called her opinion insane and said that President Trump should fire her. Senator Ted Cruz similarly clarified that the First Amendment uniquely protects hate speech, while noting that individuals could still suffer professional consequences for saying cruel things about Kirk. Ironically, Bondi could have avoided this mess had she listened more closely to one specific person, Charlie Kirk. As journalist Brad Palumbo pointed out, Kirk previously wrote on X, "Hate speech does not exist legally in America. There's ugly speech, there's gross speech, there's evil speech."
That's what I was
All of it
thinking. I
is
was like, I'm
protected by
pretty
the First
sure
Amendment.
Charlie
Keep
talked against
America
this,
free.
and I should know that.
Remember. And so,
It's just I
Lindsay,
try not to be
people are
absolute
very
about
upset on the
anything.
right with Pam Bondi over this, and it is important
I should be,
because the
but-
whole public accommodation
Ooh,
thing, this
what
is
was
the,
that?
The Bake Me a Cake case, remember that? Conservatives have fought for the right to say if you're a cake baker
Lots
or a
for
wedding
dinner.
photographer, you don't agree with same-sex marriage, you should not be required to perform that service in violation of your religious beliefs. And there's a cake baker, it's a Colorado case, I believe. You know,
And if-
got
that was a
taken-
Shield, I
got
think.
sued
Lots for
by
dinner.
A couple, and it's a whole Supreme Court case. The point being, conservatives have worked forever to defeat that rule that you must cater to a customer you don't agree with politically, religiously, ethically, morally. This would be doing the same thing. And her not recognizing that was a big, flashing warning sign for Matt Walsh and other conservatives I agree with. Given the
Pam
Epstein
Bondi
thing, given
seems
this, I
step in
saw
mud
numerous
every
people
single
on the
time.
right expressing the idea, well, how many strikes does this lady get before we say, okay?
Yeah, right. That's kind of what I was thinking. I was like, how many? She's
That's the
she.
biggest thing, I think.
That's all we know her
overall,
for is
and
just
from the
messing
other
things
side of
up.
the aisle looking at it, it's like, well, what
We
is
haven't
the
even been a year into
Republican
this, and
Party?
it's like she's
Because
just been
Pam
messing
Bondi
up
saying
left
the
and
exact
right.
thing that was railed against, and
It's like at least
President
two
Trump
or
for
three
years has
fumbles
went
now.
as being at the top of the Republican Party, but I'll say most people in the party have gone on about censorship and how much.
No,
this
it's like
needs
3
to
or 4,
stop.
I'm pretty
And
sure.
So to say that you want to implement it
Because
on
the
a
Epstein
level of
thing said
calling
that
it
the
a crime,
files are on her
people
desk, they're
possibly
ready to
behind bars
go.
for things
There's
that
so
they've said.
much.
That to me is even a step further than the party ever even wanted to have a conversation about. We were just talking about canceling mostly during 2020 and past that of people who said
What was
things
the other
online
thing? I
that
feel
were
like there was
negative
another big
and
one
canceling
she
them from their
fumbled
jobs,
on.
because private employers are, like you said, able to do whatever they want.
Yeah, they can do whatever they want. But we don't need to bring the government in.
Right, it doesn't need to be like a rule or a law. The biggest thing to me is that digital vigilantes to me don't need to exist online to the point that everyone needs to even lose their job. Past what Pam Bondi's saying, I think that we're going down a rabbit hole of the exact opposite coming from the people of the party with the exact opposite thought. So Elon Musk in 2023 literally tweeted, if you're, quote, unfairly treated by your employer due to posting or liking something, we will fund your legal bill, no limit. Please let us know. And you remember around that time, it was around cancel culture, like the height of it, or the Republican Party starting to see their power grow and saying, we're not going to allow cancellations to happen. It's why X kind of does what it does. I don't like any of the negativity online surrounding the death of Charlie Kirk and people laughing or anything like that. But I do think employers have their own options. I don't think the government should be involved in trying to make people, specifically federal workers, because those are the first people that they can fire, right? Just because they don't like what they said. I think it could be a conversation. We could talk about a moral code code, but if it comes to against the law, now we're rolling way past what's appropriate, because then we must comb through all the instances where other parties were offended, and there are several.
It's not against the law, so we should dispense with any kind of legal ramifications for speech, for justification for violence, gross, ugly, not a legal issue. Now, you can suffer professional workplace consequences. I think the line that Vice President J.D. Vance drew was a fine one, saying we should not try to cancel or go after people who just expressed disagreement with Kirk or didn't like Kirk. He called on people yesterday
to get fired
for advocacy or appreciation for or justification for violence. That's the line he drew. Now, I'm not someone who, I don't really like the whole kind of call your manager type deal. So am I going to be sitting around, looking for people who said kind of shady things to get fired? Absolutely not. I think conservatives have better ways to spend their time, probably. I'm not a fan of social media-derived mobs, but if you justified violence in public, that was a pretty bad choice you made. Maybe just leave those thoughts to yourself. Like you said yesterday, don't have anything nice to say.
It's classic.
Don't say it.
101.
No, it's great advice.
I think it would behoove the Republican Party to have come up with a strategy together rather than the knee-jerk reaction that we're seeing of everybody getting on podcasts, responding, and because then you have what Pam Bondi is doing, who was speaking openly. And I know it's been the party of transparency, right, to try to get on those podcasts immediately and have dialogue.
I'm glad we got
the dialogue
to hear what she had to say.
all
I
over
just
the
don't
place.
like what she
Well, that's
had
what I
to
mean.
say.
The dialogue's all over the place.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, okay, let's cancel everybody. Wait, we hate cancellation culture. What? So it's just like, how about we
Cancellation
first start with bringing
culture.
the country together and saying this was wrong. Let's try to rectify this from ever happening again.
Well, next up, the alleged Charlie Cook shooter is making his first court appearance, and we have learned more about his potential motives from the indictment. We will be discussing that. Stay with us.
Might as well, whatever.
But the invitation came from the king, right?
Let me take you through my thinking process. Yes, of course it is. But
Unless it gets boring. Do you believe that women can have a penis?
I explained that I think the vast majority of people have the same gender.
Not people, women.
Well, there are men who want to change and women who want to change.
Right. But can women have a penis?
So what I'm saying is...
Well, can they or not?
Listen, I'm
Why are
answering
you
my
scolding
question.
me? State visits by world leaders are a ceremonial exhibition of the very best the British state can mobilise. There's palatial grandeur, royal pomp, and military tribute, all capped by a glorious state banquet with the king to cement alliances and mutual respect. Well, Donald Trump's visit this week is steeped in historical significance. He's the first leader to receive the honour twice. You might wonder who on earth could possibly choose to miss out on playing a role in such a momentous occasion. The answer is Sir Ed Davey, leader of Britain's third biggest party in Parliament, the Liberal Democrats, who rejected the invitation and joins me now. Sir Ed, great to have you.
Good to
Your
see you,
uncensored debut.
Yeah.
Been a while since we had a chat.
Yeah.
You're boycotting the state dinner. You're not the first Liberal Democrat leader to do it. I think Vince Cable, one of your predecessors, did the same thing last time. What's the point of your boycott?
Well, let's be clear. I actually think the state visit of Donald Trump should have happened. Indeed, I argued it. I think it was the first British politician, even before that famous moment in the White House when the Prime Minister gave the invitation from the King to Donald Trump. So I'm absolutely pleased that he's here because we need to influence him in any way we can with it. It's the pomp and ceremony that you were talking about. And I had every intention of going, partly because I respect the King so much, and I've had the huge honour of going.
All right, this already seems boring. I apologize.
I also know from those events you don't get to talk to the visiting head of state unless you're on the top table. And here's a secret: I've never been on the top.
I don't really care about British politics. Ours is hard enough to bear.
Good morning and welcome to Rising. Thanks so much for joining us on this Wednesday morning. We've got a little
Thursday. Don't push us back.
Oh my gosh, it's Thursday.
Don't be crazy, Robbie.
That's good news.
He actually had me going. I was like, yeah, it's Wednesday, right? No, it's Thursday. It's football tonight. That's what keeps me on track now. It's football.
It was so dark yesterday, and Robbie does not like a dreary day, okay? He's very not sunshine
Because I'm so bright.
but he doesn't like dark days.
All right, well, coming up on Rising, the former CDC director was testifying on Capitol Hill yesterday.
and things did get a little bit testy. Plus, FBI Director Kash Patel also got into some heated exchanges with Democratic lawmakers over those Epstein files.
Plus, President Trump has vowed to declare Antifa a terrorist organization. But Lindsay, let's get to your radar. What's on it?
Yeah, let's talk about it today. So former President Barack Obama says the nation is at a, quote, inflection point after the assassination of conservative commentator Charlie Kirk. In his first public remarks on the shooting, Obama called Kirk's death a tragedy. Let's take a look.
Regardless of where you are on the political spectrum, what happened to Charlie Kirk was horrific and a tragedy. What happened, as you mentioned, to the state legislators in Minnesota, that is horrific. It is a tragedy.
Now, Obama made those remarks at the Jefferson Educational Society's Global Summit Tuesday night. He argued that America is in the middle of a, quote, political crisis, and went further, noting that the President Trump is fueling divisions with his response to the tragedy. But what stood out to me most was the contrast Obama drew between how presidents respond in moments of national pain. He pointed back to former rivals like George W. Bush, potential president that ran for one, John McCain and Mitt Romney, people who, despite sharp
What is
policy
that?
differences,
It's not an
understood the
echo, is
assignment
it?
when tragedy struck to
Evocarian?
unify the country. That reminded me of how Obama
Collectible.
himself handled one of the darkest moments of his presidency, the 2015 mass shooting
Is it
at
that?
Emmanuel AME Church in Charleston, South Carolina. Now let's remember, that was a white supremacist who murdered 9 black worshipers in their sanctuary, hoping to ignite a race war. Obama didn't scapegoat political enemies or look for the loudest partisan villain to attack. He just called the shooter what he was, a criminal, and then tried to rally the nation toward unity.
This is not the first time that black churches have been attacked. And we know that hatred across races and faiths pose a particular threat to our democracy and our ideals. The good news is I'm confident that the outpouring of unity and strength and fellowship and love across Charleston today, from all races, from all faiths, from all places of worship, indicates the degree to which those old vestiges of hatred can be overcome.
Now that's presidential leadership, setting a tone that calms the country instead of pouring gasoline on an already burning fire. But compare that to how President Trump responded to Kirk's assassination.
It's a long past time for all Americans and the media to confront the fact that violence and murder are the tragic consequence of demonizing those with whom you disagree day after day, year after year, in the most hateful and despicable way possible. For years, those on the radical
It's
left
true.
have compared wonderful
He's
Americans
absolutely
like
right, though.
Charlie
Y'all just don't want to take accountability. It's fucking true. You guys can't. Incapable. You've been calling people Nazis and Hitler for 10 years. What do you think's going to happen? I've said that for like a week straight. What do you think's going to happen?
And trying to bring unity. Obama this week called that out.
That's where it's like, no, we need to unite here. It's like,
Confusion, I think, around
you guys stop saying this shit, and then maybe we'll consider it. But we're kind of past the point of uniting.
Some of the other positions of authority that suggest, even before we had determined who the perpetrator of this evil act was, that somehow we're going to identify an enemy.
Former president then suggested that this line of thinking could lead the country down the wrong path.
We're going to identify an enemy. We're going to suggest that somehow that enemy was at fault, and we are then going to use that as a rationale for trying to silence discussion around who we are as a country and what direction we should go.
And that's the bigger point here. Leadership isn't about silencing the debate or vilifying half of the country because they hold different views. It's about making space for the disagreement without justifying violence. Not one Democratic leader on the left wished for Charlie Kirk to die because of his views. Not one.
Ilhan Omar.
Disagreement with someone's ideology is not the same as endorsing their murder, and suggesting otherwise is not only dishonest, it's dangerous.
That's rich of her to
At
say
the end
that
of the
though,
day,
because it's
presidents
like
set the
that's
tone.
everything that
Their
you
strategy
guys
to make
have
the job is simple, but
not
it's
been
hard.
doing
Comfort the nation,
when Biden
bring
was
money, and
office.
make sure the civil
You guys,
discourse
you
continues.
fuck
Because
you.
blaming
Seriously, the
political rivals
hypocrisy
for
is
the act of
insane.
one violent criminal does not just miss the mark. It leaves the country more
It's almost like you
divided.
really.
To me, that's not leadership.
Oh no. It's like you really think we're gonna forget about this shit just like a year or two later? Some people do. It's amazing. The short-term memory in our society is incredible. I have a terrible short-term memory, but I remember this shit. Why can't other people?
For political persecution of your enemies, and
It's like we're in some weird simulation.
Is going to do in response to this. I don't.
You have said that, yeah. I want everybody to know that you did say you don't think this is the moment to do.
But you know, when Obama says not to politicize it, not to blame the rhetoric of your opponents, I just find that to be such a hollow remark because
Thank you, Robbie.
that has long been
That's all you guys been doing.
response to tragedies perpetrated by plausibly or discernibly right-wing figures or assumed to be right-wing figures by the mainstream media and the Democratic Party
Yes.
progressive activists. When Gabby Giffords was shot during Barack Obama's presidency in 2012, Democratic representative in Arizona, the response from Democrats, I guess I can't recall precisely what Barack Obama himself said, but the response from Democrats in the mainstream media and progressive activists was overwhelmingly to blame right-wing rhetoric in the Tea Party, even though it turned out the shooter had nothing to do with the right at all.
I push back on that because I think that the response was to try to go to Congress to push gun laws forward, and that's where discussion and debate. But that's usually the conversation to figure out how
here's
gun
the Guardian.
laws
Here's
forward.
the Guardian from 14 years ago. Gabby Gifford shooting. The Guardian's a progressive news website. Gabby Gifford shooting reignites row over right-wing rhetoric in U.S. Sarah Palin at center of storm over political vitriol after spree leaves 6 dead. It had nothing to do with Sarah Palin.
That's fine. So Fox News, Newsmax, MSNBC can do what they want. I'm talking about the president.
Yeah.
That's the clear distinction I'm making. It comes from the top down. The president must lead in this moment and be the leader for the party and show an example. And so what President Obama did during his term was to try to be that example, and the rhetoric still continued on who to point fingers and blame at. But when it's coming from the top, to me that's problematic because we're trying to bring the nation together, or at least we need to try. We
This
are
is
at
new.
a really contentious point in our nation's history, and it's not the worst of times, and it doesn't need to be the worst of times. And so it starts from the top on trying to bring people together. That's the biggest issue for me, is that yes, everyone's saying what they want to say. All these people that have podcasts and blogs, I'm not trying to criticize and figure out how to organize all of them. I'm asking for the president to be presidential. Isn't that like a fair ask? I think that you should want that from your president as well.
Right, but I just think we're looking back on Obama's own terms with, we're looking at it through rose-tinted glasses to say that there was no division or that division was not being fostered. It was loftier rhetoric than that which is employed by Donald Trump, but conservatives certainly felt that division was being
This week, Senator Dick Durbin was saying that to characterize MAGA as Nazis is problematic. And on the other side, when Republicans characterize Democrats as the party of murder or evil, that's also extremely problematic. Why can't we agree that those things are not right? That these parties don't cause murder and evil, and these parties are not also Nazis, right? This is like just the basis of my argument right here.
Well, I'm fine to take that, to accept your proposal that not to call enemies Nazis or murderers or whatever it is.
Because the people committing the act are the people with the gun. I mean,
right. I don't think that's helpful, and I also don't know that it is plausibly connected to this shooting or any other shooting, the rhetoric of any. That's actually where I draw the biggest line, is that people's inflammatory rhetoric is asserted without evidence that is at the root of the violence problem we're seeing. And this shooter, to be clear, is has left-wing motivations, clearly, but was probably radicalized by online peer groups rather than the rhetoric of political figures. But we'll still be investigating that for some time to come, I think.
For sure. So up next, the former CDC director was on Capitol Hill to testify before the Senate Health Committee, and things got a little testy, to say the least. We'll be right back.
Oh, I gotta see this. Yeah, must be what she was talking about.
director lasted 29 days. Since my removal, several explanations have been offered. That I told the secretary I would resign, that I was not aligned with the administration priorities, or that I was untrustworthy. None of those reflect what actually happened.
Former CDC head director Susan Monterez giving her side of the story before the Senate Health Committee just weeks after she was ousted from the agency over a reported dispute with Secretary Kennedy about vaccines.
Now, Dr. Monterez went on to describe what she says led her to leaving the agency. Take a listen.
On the morning of August 25th, Secretary Kennedy demanded two things of me that were inconsistent with my oath of office and the ethics required of a public official.
What are those?
He directed me to commit in advance to approving every ACIP recommendation, regardless of the scientific evidence. He also directed me to dismiss career officials responsible for vaccine policy without cause. He said if I was unwilling to do both, I should resign.
Just 2 days after that happened, HHS announced that Monterez would be removed from her post. When asked about the effects of the vaccine skepticism under Secretary Kennedy, Monterez said she had serious concerns.
I believe preventable diseases will return, and I believe that we will have our children harmed for things that we know they do not need to be harmed by. Polio, measles, diphtheria, whooping cough. I worry about the ramifications for those children in illness and in death. I worry about our school systems. I worry about our medical institutions having to take care of sick kids that could have been prevented by effective and safe vaccines. I worry about the future of trust in
not
public health.
getting those royalties from them vaccines
Senator Rand
anymore,
Paul
huh?
pushed back, going toe-to-toe with Dr.
Yeah,
Monterez
you worry
over
about that.
recommendations for the COVID and hepatitis B
I
vaccine
know you
in
worry about
infants,
that.
calling her out for what he says was her refusal to fire CDC employees who were staunchly opposed to any changes to the vaccine schedule. Take a listen to the exchange.
What is the medical reason for giving a hepatitis B vaccine to a newborn? See, everybody's like blithely going along, we can't change the childhood. You're somehow terrible if you want to change the childhood. We should be discussing what is the childhood vaccine schedule. The burden is upon you and the people you wouldn't fire to prove to us that we need to give our 6-month-old a COVID vaccine and that we need to give our 1-day-old a hepatitis B vaccine.
I actually agree with you, and I was open to the science. I just would not pre-commit to approving all the ACIP recommendations without the science.
Untrue.
That's interesting that she says she agrees with him on that point, as do I, unsurprisingly. This has become a topic of conversation, I know, among a lot of conservative women, or actually MAHA mothers, that movement, about the hepatitis B vaccine in particular, which is often given to one.
Yeah, I had to go through the whole vaccine thing with my 4-year-old.
You probably know more about it than I do, but the question is, do otherwise healthy mothers who are not engaged in the kind of risky behavior that is a cause of hepatitis B, if you don't meet those criteria, why would you necessarily need to give your kid this vaccine? And it was actually nice to hear her say she thinks that's perfectly fine.
And she just said that she doesn't want to go off ideology and she doesn't want to pre-commit to anything that maybe they've discussed, because new research always comes out and vaccine schedules change and things change based on guidance and science and deep research. And so I think that's fair for somebody to say. The most alarming part of this whole entire thing was the fact that she is sitting up there saying one story about why she was let go. RFK is calling her a liar when he's pressed out about it at his hearing. And so there's just two conflating issues. And then he's asking her a question and she's saying, yeah, I agree with you. It's really simple to me to go over the facts and the information from scientists. And so why is that not the baseline? Because what's happening is, since RFK took this office, it's created just chaos and confusion about where the CDC is headed and if we should trust the CDC. And like you said, there are mothers like myself and other mothers who don't have a political foot in this race.
Right.
They're just trying to figure out the best way to keep their kids protected when they go to school, prior to them going to school, when they're 1 month old. Like, this is all mothers and families, parents, dads too, on the same page that are really trying to protect children. But then moreover, there's people with longer family histories that are still alive, like grandparents they're trying to protect, school teachers that want to take into consideration CDC's recommendation. But the way that RFK has created an environment of chaos, I think it's making most people who already were skeptical of the CDC, rightfully so because of COVID, now have complete lack of trust in it and not even know who to look to for information.
Yeah, I was a little bit dismayed listening to the hearing. It seemed like, while I'm very supportive of a lot of what Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is trying to accomplish, and I'm very supportive of Senator Rand Paul, it sounded like this person was one of the better people you could get in the CDC who was very open to the agenda and to trying different things. She just didn't want to vow to do it a certain way without consulting a variety of, so that seemed okay to me. So I think it's almost I found myself kind of liking her, listening to her. She was not like that stereotype of the closed-minded public health bureaucrat person who is just doing everything the experts say without any consideration or discussion. So I'm a little bit dismayed that she's out, to be honest.
She did have like a demeanor that, it seemed as you're watching it as the adult in the room.
Right.
And that's what I think people were looking for.
She said she was open to that perfectly healthy kids don't need the COVID vaccine, which is exactly what that is the main thing I was trying to get accomplished from the CDC. Why is it, as a matter of routine, being given out to people without any consideration who are otherwise perfectly healthy? That's not something that is in keeping even with our scientific understanding, and she said she agreed. So that sounded like the best case scenario, and so I'm a little...
And another issue that a lot of people are having is the fact that, like she said, she was in that position for 29 days, and all of the time and energy and money that's wasted on trying to confirm somebody into a position like that, somebody that RFK championed to change his mind, that does not lead people to believe that you are a confident, stable leader when you argue to have somebody in a position and then take them out a month later. It seems knee-jerk reaction, like chaotic, and so, these are organizations that you want to have somebody level-headed, prepared for the authority you're giving them to lead. And so she's up there kind of still confused about it. Like, I'm not going to just say carte blanche on whatever you guys would like to do. I'm going to say yes in advance, which you wouldn't expect anybody who understands science to do, because science always changes. And part of this argument about why we're talking about what vaccines kids should have is because the science and information is changing and more accessible and developing. And so we're like, oh, maybe kids don't need this. Hepatitis is not as rampant as it used to be. And, this is just, to me, not the path we want to go down as a country, to not understand what the vaccine schedule should be for our kids.
I want open-mindedness, not narrow-mindedness in either direction.
Right.
That's what I want. Next up, the clock is ticking. Republicans and Democrats are preparing for a government shutdown, but who will be to blame for the funding stop? We'll talk about it right after the break.
Oh, Bob Saget.
Ooh, it is so good to see someone like Hassan Piker, who has, with complete impunity for the past, 5 years, espoused completely over the line, out of bounds statements about not just Charlie Kirk, but other Republicans.
Psycho.
Remember
I can't
now,
believe he's still allowed to.
when
I think Twitch finally took
he
him
said
off, but
that
it's like when I
someone
heard what he
needs to
said, I was
take
like,
care of
how are you
Charlie
allowed to
I want
still
you to
be on
remember
any
that quote.
platform?
I actually want to
Said some
bring up the exact quote.
Very
because
graphic things that I was like,
this is what
and you want these
Hassan
things to
Piker said
happen.
to his audience of hundreds of thousands of LARPing, weirdo,
Pretty morbid shit.
far leftoids. Again, American
And it's just like, and you really have to reach on conservatives for like, oh, I think they really meant this. It was a dog whistle. You need to take them off. I would think it was a dog whistle. And you think that it is like, most of the time it's just complete crap.
Somebody's got to take care of Charlie Kirk. This guy
But yeah, the things
is
that
a
it was
effing
direct,
scumbag. That's what
specific.
Hassan Piker said August 17th,
He was
2021.
inciting it. He wanted it. He's like, please let
It's
it
had
happen, type thing. And it
numerous
was like,
similar things.
but no
now
mention
he's doing
of like the
news
concern
media
of that,
circuit
or
because
no.
he's absolutely
all right,
panicking.
all right.
Because he knows he's probably gone too far. Finally.
Yeah.
I want to thank everybody, by
Well,
the way,
Destiny,
who has
him,
tried
like,
my coffee company. Unlike all my peers, this is not drop-shipped garbage. These are unique roasts that you can only get from me, and we have now moved our entire catalog to Amazon, including put our spring flavors on sale for $5.99 with free shipping. We have our brand new summer flavor, so our tangerine and cherry cordial are $5. Get them while they're still there. But we also have our spring flavors in. If you pick those up, if you like
This is
flavored coffee, you
interesting.
gotta try the Tiger Spud and Blackberry Cream. They're so good. Also, we have decaf, double calf, blueberry cobbler, which is our top seller, strawberries and cream, top seller, butterscotch toffee, and all of the unflavored stuff, from Ethiopian to Colombian to dark roast to ultra dark roast. Everything available at cbcamazon.com. It'll take you right there. Help support the channel. Please do pick some up today and give it a try. Now, Hassan Piker went on ABC News last night to try and say it was just a joke when he said to take the lives of landlords. Somebody else, apparently James
Yeah,
OP
that was
on X,
one of the things. I
together a
wasn't even thinking about that when he said that.
foil to this. This is Hassan Piker went on
It's like,
TV
yeah,
last night and
he
he
said
when
a lot
wants
of
the
things that
streets to
were
run
just
red
like-
with the blood of landlords, or
Yeah.
when he wanted Republicans' intestines gone, or when he wanted somebody to take out Charlie Kirk, or when he wanted, I mean, the
Didn't even know
list
that.
is numerous. Now he wants to go on the news and say he was just joking.
I want to ask you about your own rhetoric. I noticed that Elon Musk has
Yikes.
been posting about you.
Yes.
And I don't know the context of these particular statements, but here's a quote from you about landlords who don't want to rent out their properties. You said, kill them, murder them, let the streets soak in their red capitalist blood.
He did say that.
Doesn't that make
He
you
did
part
say
of the
that.
problem with
I thought that was about
violent
conservatives, though.
discourse?
I didn't know those
This
landlords.
was in a
Either
conversation that I was
doesn't matter.
having with a
By the way, the answer is yes. Now watch this worm squirm and try to say, well, it was, well, I don't know. It's just, I said in Minecraft kind of thing.
landlord friend of mine, and it's of course hyperbolic.
Is that the property owners who have properties there
Now, let's see if this sounds hyperbolic to you.
choose just not to rent it at all?
Yeah, kill
As a
them.
result.
Kill those motherfuckers and murder those motherfuckers in the street. Let the streets soak in their fucking red capitalist bloods, dude.
And it's not meant to be sincere. It's not sincere
It sounded pretty sincere to me.
advocacy. It's not a real policy that I would ever advocate for. And that's precisely the reason why
He
when
does advocate
Republicans
for
were desperately looking for any sort of incisive language that they could present, they went back to
We don't have. So then we're going to go, it was an old clip. My brother, there are dozens of clips like this. He's acting like, oh, they went all the way back to a young time when I was edgy. And now, well, it's just different now. Bro, you've been talking like this week, you moron. And now,
The hell is this thing?
because of you, let's be very clear, because of Hassan Piker, Dan Clancy, the CEO of Twitch, now has to go testify before Congress.
Ooh, this
You think
thing does
Dan likes
work.
that?
That's the GMR.
Mark my words, Dan
Still no
Clancy,
Chuck,
the
dude.
also
Yeah,
CEO
the
of
Chuck
Twitch,
is
Hassan
just
Piker will ban
stupid.
by October.
You can't mess with the Chuck.
a very obvious instance of LARPing. If
What
you
d-
cared about
does this
Medicare
cap
fraud or Medicaid
the
fraud,
specialization?
you would
Well, I'm
throw
sure it
Rick
caps,
Scott.
but
Oh,
is it at 50, 100,
Were you LARPing
75?
there when you said, as a fact,
was
to
thinking
take
50.
the life of a politician? You were just kidding? Again, are we going to do that? We're just kidding, Hassan?
An insincere statement. You brought Milo Yiannopoulos back, and it's like, dude, both of those guys are fucking pedophile Nazis.
Oh.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if fucking rapes happen on October 7th. Like,
okay.
that doesn't change the dynamic for me even this much. That is obviously hyperbolic.
Oops. Were those statements also hyperbolic, Hassan Piker?
Hyperbolic from, I believe, 2018.
My question stands nonetheless. Doesn't that kind of language contribute to the atmosphere of violent, even lethal violence in the United States?
Just a little bit.
The answer is yes.
Yes.
Now
yes.
Let's see how he squirms off on this one.
I don't believe that my insincere statements that don't reflect on any of my beliefs whatsoever in 2019 has led to any sort of real world violence whatsoever.
Oh yeah, he also threatened the life of Tom Cotton too.
Dude, and that's messed up. Like, I take accountability for the smallest things that I do.
You need to be fucking showing.
Like, I feel guilt. I feel too much guilt.
On there, okay?
So like, if I had ever said anything like that, I'm like, it's done for me. Like, my bad. There's no way I ever recover. And then the fact, there's no shame. It's a level of shamelessness that comes along with that.
Slice them and fucking dice them. What the fuck is this?
I want to ask you about.
Does that sound like he was just
joking around, just having a quick little
making a
shitting gig
statement? No, this is how this guy talks. This is what this guy believes. This is not up for debate. I'm all for free speech. I don't want any new laws coming out. But these are, what, about a dozen examples already here of blatant violations of existing Twitch terms of service.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was like, isn't that already like a violation?
A permanent ban.
It's not all of a sudden now because of Charlie Kirk.
Twitch has personally said that Hassan
Piker
is his favorite streamer.
You were calling for violence towards somebody. You were inciting it. That's.
It's not even a money
thing. How has
the
he not been hit
CEO,
on this?
Do you think the shareholders in Amazon want to see the Twitch CEO getting grilled in front of Congress about radicalizing America's youth? I already, you know, when I sell coffee, right? People tell me, well, I don't do business with Amazon. Okay. You can still buy from coffeebrandcoffee.com, but every day people tell me that. Like, do you think that, I mean, he's clearly joking, he says. Clearly joking. No, he's not. He's dead serious. Here's Hassan Piker sitting at a table with the LGBTQ flag and saying that his favorite flag is Hezbollah, a terror group.
Let's talk about our favorite flags.
Oh, that was like overall what my favorite flag?
Yeah.
Hezbollah. Look it up.
Oh.
I'm not even kidding.
They even know. They're like, dude.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. He goes, oh.
These two guys right here, they exchange a glance.
Oh.
Like, a terror group.
I don't know flags.
It's this is a.
You know what? I'm gonna be brave.
What?
My favorite flag.
The
He's
American
got
flag.
an AK on it and a fucking hand holding it up.
Wow, son.
Or
even that guy's like Hassan. You could see
Hassan.
His own podcast people are like, my dude.
Like, bro.
Are you really saying your favorite flag is a terror group?
Or
we might have to cut this.
We're behind the paywall. It's fine.
Actually, being behind the paywall doesn't make it okay, because every major terms of service, YouTube, Twitch, extends to off-platform behavior. Everybody knows this. It's been enforced numerous times. I mean, this is who he is. And now he's panicking. Oh, by the way, Donald Trump has dedicated Antifa as a domestic terror group too, and here is Hassan Piker not only sporting their merch, but promoting it on their stream, promoting the group on his stream. This guy, there is no off-ramp. There is no off-ramp at all for Hassan Piker. He's got to know this. The only way that this guy
Oh, is it just laying right there? I thought that was part of his body.
More and more radical. More and more.
There's like nothing glowing off of it either.
Insane. It's the only way that he can grow. More and more violent rhetoric. More and more over-the-top takes. Because that's how it works. That's how people get radicalized. That's how you end up with radical people. It's not enough. It's first you're making, you're in Discord. But then that's not enough. Now you're going out IRL and you're throwing bricks. Then that's not enough. Then Hassan Piker says, somebody's got to take care of Charlie Kirk. I mean, what do you think? How did you think this was going to shake out for you, Hassan Piker? I'm really curious. And again, it's not, he can keep saying, well, it was just this one thing. Okay, well, what about this other thing? Well, that was just one thing. What about this other thing? Well, that was just one thing. Well, what about this other thing? Well, that was just another thing. There are dozens of these examples. Any one of them, if I had said that about leftists or liberals, I would have been immediately banned from every platform but Rumble.
Well, and I think it's awfully fucked up that he's just like, oh, it's just joking. Like, he's trying to chalk it up to, like, the whole, like, canceling comedians for saying jokes. Just like, well, if comedians say they're jokes, it's like, dude, no. No, you son of a bitch.
He has
You're inciting violence. You're literally calling to dice people up. Like,
to recap, he incites these attacks daily.
and the audacity to bring it to, like, try to pull it back to be like, well, if comedians are getting canceled, oh, God, I guess I thought you guys were against that. I bet you that is the route he's trying to take. And it's like, you are a piece of
We
shit.
shuffle our feet. That's how I feel.
Like, you are literally,
We're gonna have to see how
a major
the
component
House
to the downfall of society.
Judicial Committee shakes out. This is on October 8th, so what, 10 days
Like,
from now?
the fact that that
No,
dude has
20
such a
days from now?
following, I'm like, I don't get
This
it.
story isn't going anywhere.
He offers nothing
anywhere. And
but
I
just
still think
garbage.
that Twitch will make major changes
And they say
before
that
this
about
October
Charlie
8th
Kirk, and it's like,
Whether
Kirk?
it's firing
Man,
the
he...
CEO or
Oh, yeah, I
getting
was going to
Hassan
listen to
Piker.
that. I got to take a break here in a second, but yeah, I'm going to come back and we are going to listen to that because I
This
really
next guy
appreciated
was in
that
Hassan's
debate.
Discord.
It was...
We know, by the way,
It's very
I have a
informative.
separate video on this.
There was
We
several
know
things that
that
I didn't. I took philosophy as a
shooter didn't
major and
stream
I
on Twitch,
didn't pay
by
enough
the way.
attention, but
So
several
we're
things
gonna
about
see how this
Hobbes he was
shakes out.
talking about that I
for
didn't
one,
know,
I'm enjoying watching Hassan
and
Piker squirm.
about
I look
Leviathan.
forward to his banning. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do leave a like on it. Don't forget CBC. Letter C. C is in Charlie, B is in Bravo, C is in Charlie. Amazon, CBC,
Where am I looking?
Amazon.com.
There we
Or
go.
coffeebrandcoffee.com if you prefer. We'll talk to you again real soon.
But yeah, when I was in college, I remember we didn't read entire books, or well, no, in some classes we did, but in a lot of my classes we didn't read entire books. We just read like we would have a book that would cover certain topics, about philosophical topics, and the authors that covered it. Remember, the experience machine was kind of cool because it was kind of like the Matrix, but the question was, it's like if you could go in and into this experience machine, and you could have everything that you wanted, you could have the happiness that you're looking for. What's to bring you out of it? Why would you just stay there? And a lot of people would say that they wouldn't stay there. And the question was, well, then what is it about reality that would bring you out of it? It's like, there's something about reality that you would be like, well, no, I don't want to stay in the machine. It's like, well, you're completely happy. You have everything you want, right? You're sedated to the point where it's like, it doesn't matter. You're good. You never have to deal with any sort of troubles or anything in your life. So what's to keep you out of there? And it's like, well, I want to live in reality. And it's like, well, okay. So what is it about reality? And it's like, because there's something it's because we're connected. I don't know. I don't know what the right answer is there, but obviously there's a legitimate answer that we belong in reality. Oh, that's right. I can't climb up onto things if I'm... Gotcha. But reading that wasn't even Thomas Hobbes. Thomas Hobbes was Leviathan. And at the time, I had no idea what he was talking about. I just remember, I think it was Supernatural when they did their season of Leviathan. I was trying to compare it to that, and it's like not even completely different topics. Like, we're not talking about literal Leviathan. Hobbes was talking about how society, and I might butcher this. I need to go back and actually, this is partly why I wanted to listen to the conversation again, because Charlie touches on it with Vosh. No! But he talks about, in Leviathan, they talk about basically societal collapse due to what would you say? Due to like mass influence and propaganda, like swaying a mass one way or another. I think at one point he asks, like, are humans good by nature or evil by, not evil by nature, but like, are we more bad by nature or more good by nature in like the sum total? And it was a really good question, because it's like, that really depicts how a person's going to look at life and just existence in general. Because I think what he says is like the Hobbesian outlook is that we're a little more bad by nature, and we need that order to keep us from acting out on our worst impulses. And I kind of agree with that, because if you leave us, I mean, just look at Portland. It's a good representation. It's like, well, it's just free. You like free love, free. You know, drugs are decriminalized. Everybody can just live the way they want, and that's where I see the libertarian downfalls. It's like libertarianism is so good up until it gets to a point where it's like, yeah, but we are living right next to each other, so we got to have some sort of understanding that you can't just be a junkie or have like a junkyard in front of my house. And it's not like an HOA type thing, but at the same time, it's just like, yeah, you're harming certain aspects of the community around you if you're being like that. But yeah, what he was talking about with Hobbes is just like in Leviathan, it's the way society can be swept under. I think, from what I remember, this was a long time ago that I read this, but it's the way society can be swept under through coercion, either propaganda, corruption, yada yada, and it's very easy to sweep a nation under like that. A nation is a lot more fragile than we realize. And the fact that we have this type of order it's kind of uncommon. It's very out of the ordinary. And also the argument against pure democracy. Because if a society can be so easily swayed, it's easy to sway the masses into thinking something is right when it isn't. It's easy to sway them into voting against their own self-interest. And that's what I really liked about the conversation that he has with Vosh. And Vosh probably isn't it's just like, I wish they would throw somebody a little bit better. I mean, Vosh isn't bad. He's articulate, but he's also kind of a dum-dum. And I think he's a grifter. I don't know that for sure. I shouldn't be just throwing that out there, but yeah, it seems like he wasn't always on board with this type of rhetoric that he spews. So it's like, all right, well, everybody can have a change of heart, but you kind of went the wrong way, bruh. I don't know why you went that way, unless you're really looking for the pat on the back from the lefty crowd, or they just don't target you if you're that big of a coward, I guess. But no, yeah, Vosh, he's not the same caliber as Charlie as far as debate. But that's the thing I was saying, is like, I don't think anybody was. That's why they put a hit on him. It's because nobody could debate like Charlie could. He like, I'm in the middle, and he won me over on several conservative topics that I was just like, I don't have anything to argue against that. I don't know, the left just, starts pounding their feet and just starts yelling and screaming. Then when they can't figure out a way to beat him in these debates. But it's like, he's got you though. Like, There's no real good argument against a lot of what he was saying, especially when you dig deep into the context. It's like, yeah, the whole abortion topic. It's like, yeah, you can't blame the kid for what happened on the outside. It's not the kid's fault, and that's what his overall argument was. And everybody would take it out of context, saying, "Oh, no, he just wants the woman to be pregnant and lose her rights to any sort of reproductive rights," which is weird that they even call it reproductive rights, because it's like, well, I think that's outside the realm of reproductive rights, because you already reproduced. Now you're in the process of termination. That's a different procedure. That's a different category than reproductive rights, in my opinion. I don't know. You know, all these politics are gonna be fucking going. That's what happens when you listen to Politico. The thing I see now, though, it's like all these comedians getting canceled, like Jimmy Kimmel. It's like, is he really getting canceled, or did his show just really suck, so they're taking him off? Because who did that just happen to? That happened to somebody else. Where it was like, are they getting canceled, or did the show just really suck? Oh yeah, it was Colbert. He was losing the company a lot of money each year. So it wasn't so much that he got canceled. It was just like, no, we need to cut our losses with this guy. He's not making us money anymore. So that's what happens. Yeah, that's what happens to shows that aren't making money. That's what happens to anything that isn't making money.
Tell the timekeeper it was me.
Guide to Kairos. What's this about? Yeah? Give me a 50. Are they 50s, just to make sure? Okay. Just wanted to make sure that it wasn't like, oh, you're back in one of the original areas or something. Oh, no, I'm in like one of the later areas, I'm pretty sure. Kind of. Yeah. Yeah, I would say so. Yes. I'm starting to get greened up, though. That's for sure. Look it up here. Look at all this green. Still got a long way to go, but that's like what? A fifth of the map you did this morning? And you found yourself a vault, which is good, because I can bring my boys down to that vault and show them what's up. What else we got going? Yeah, we found a few bosses. I found that one boss, there was like 3 of them.
Punching it once, almost broke my hand. So here's a pro tip. When a pangolin balls up, focus on taking its armor down fast. It may just save your life. Or at least your dignity.
I'm curious if the specializations are going to go beyond 50. Because I'm not sure if they are. Where are we going? Lord of Lord. Some Lord of Lord. James, my Lord. It's gonna Lord. It's gonna Lord? What's in here?
Shadows are closing in.
Find parts to finish antenna. Okay. I seen it. Get in there.
Filthy, you survived. How did I kill my bro here with the order? So incredible. I swear I was right next to the river when she maxed up and knocked by it. Best moment of my life.
This gun actually does work. Squing. Oh, Cammy. Give me some, give me some, give me some gold. Weak ass funk, bro. Weak ass funk, bro. Weak ass funk. Gotta have that funk. Weak ass funk. Gotta have that funk. Gonna grab it. Weak ass funk. Gotta have that funk. Cow.
Nothing about you makes sense. Slouching towards success.
Getting short for a minute.
Let me help you with that crazy.
Oh God.
Boom shakalaka.
This is Penelope Streams interviewing Dunks Watson on the completion of his multi-decade slamming career. Dunks, your thoughts?
I've seen things you wouldn't believe.
Tell our viewers more about that.
I floated for years in space, all but dead. Just barely alive enough to do exactly what
I needed to do. I promised I would slam and jam, and that is what I have done.
Slam and cram.
And
Cram.
now, it's time to go.
That was Dunks Watson, the greatest b-ball player who has ever lived or will ever live. I'm Penelope Streams, wishing you good night and good ball.
What?
What?
Let me cut into your flank with my eager, begging knife.
The what?
Jerks?
Son of a bitch. Crap. Oh. Crap. 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 I'm guessing it's not up here. God damn it. Where is this damn thing? Okay, I'm a little confused. Maybe...
Hold together.
I'm guessing there's something down here.
Stop shooting my ride.
No, stop it.
Hell yeah.
Yep, looks like it. Okay.
I approve. Same as always.
Alright, grab that one. And then I'll be on my way. Had a feeling to scroll through there.
Target hit. I hope there's something shiny in here.
Alright, so pretty much that entire zone up there. Yeah. For the most part, almost all of them are green. So that's good. Now we just got like 4 more regions. Oh. Alright. Well, I'm gonna get some lunch. Get some food in me. BRB. And yeah. Oh yeah, wait, yeah, when I come back we will stream that debate. Yeah. Yeah.